All right. Hey, oh boy. Hey, everybody. How are you? Welcome into the high noon edition of, Pugs Moran. That's me. This is the first of two streams that I do each and every day. We do the first one here at noon. We do the second one at 9 p.m., all time Central Standard. That is the best time there is. This show, the High Noon Show, what we like to do here is go through all kinds of, whatever it is that people are talking about, the trending topics, the headlines, the hot topics of the day. I give them to you. We run through them. Boom, boom, boom. Then at the end of the show, I go back, we go through the chat room, and we talk about all the things that you guys have been talking about throughout the course of the show. So come one, come all. Join the chat room, engage, start a debate. That's kind of one of the things that I'm going for here with this show. You put me on in the background, you hear me just rambling on and on about whatever the hell it is that's happening in the world, and then you engage with yourselves. That is the plan here, one-on-one, you people in the chat room. And then after the show, remember, just because I say that's it and it seems like I'm about to sign off, I don't. We then go to what we call the royal what I call the backstage edition, where I then get into the chat room with everybody. Hi, Jennifer. Hi, happy belated Valentine's Day. Couldn't tune in yesterday. Oh, what the hell, Jennifer? Yesterday was the best show ever and you missed it. April, no, I did not forget about you. I have had a morning. Oh my goodness. So I told you yesterday at the end of the show how Grandma sent Grandboy a new TV so that when he comes over here, he doesn't have to watch everything on a pad or on a, whatever. So because I don't have a TV. TV is an expense that, quite honestly, I don't need. I've got tablets. I've got phone. I got a myriad of computers surrounding me right here. If I need to watch something, I can pull just about everything up on a computer. And, look, you people know how important TV watching is to me. So it's not like I'm missing out on anything. So I spent the better part of the morning trying to program. It's an Android TV, and I spent the better part of the morning trying to program a whole bunch of apps, and I got it just about where I need it to be. But in order to do this, and in order to put it somewhere, I had to move around the guest house. I had to redesign stuff because stuff is not set up to watch a TV. The way it's set up, it's very loungy. It's set up so that you can just be wherever you are, and on your personal device, you can just watch whatever you need. But now that there's a TV in here, I had to sort of rearrange what little furniture we have because the studio takes up most of the place. So I'm moving stuff around. And okay, so why are you 5 minutes late? That's basically what you're asking. 5 minutes late today because at the very last minute, just as I was sitting here getting ready to sign on, I noticed that the internet was sketchy because I had unplugged it earlier and I had rebooted it. And I just decided, you know what? We're just going to reboot the whole thing. Reboot it all. Boom. And I rebooted it. And it took 5 minutes. But you may be noticing, hey, Pugs, I was actually going to wait to see if anybody noticed, but nobody did. Hey, Pugs, what happened to your head? What happened to your head? I'm going to show you what happened to my head. Oh, God, did that hurt? And it bled. Oh, my God. And I just took the bandage off because I did not want to come on here with a bandage on top of my head. That's going to be on YouTube forever. So hopefully it'll stop bleeding. It has. I've pretty much cleaned it mostly out. Let me show you what happened there. So the internet is, this happened like 8:45 this morning. So the internet is right behind the chair where I sit. So I had to move everything out to reboot the internet this morning when I was, working on the TV. The TV wasn't recognizing we don't find any networks. We can't find, I'm the new TV. I can't find any internet networks. And I'm like, we have the most kick-ass internet network. Why are you not recognizing? So I rebooted everything. And as soon as I rebooted everything and unplugged the internet and plugged it back in, it went, oh, look, you've got multiple internet options. I'm like, yeah, we do. We got backups. We got two primary internet. We got it, TV. I don't know what the hell is wrong with you, but we've got it. So in in rebooting the internet, I had to climb back here. Now, this chair that I sit on, you can't see it. This is a leather, and I'm just going to say the material is lead, solid lead. This chair is 500 pounds. Can't be 500 pounds. Okay, I don't know. This chair is 300 pounds. It's easily 300 pounds. You have no idea how heavy this chair is. It's expensive. It's like a rich guy furniture. It's like a rich guy bought this furniture like a long time. This is real leather. I don't know if you can see it. It's real leather. It's very comfortable. I love it as my chair, but it is steel and leather. It's not steel. It's got to be lead. I'm not kidding you. It is so freaking heavy. So I couldn't move it. I can. I'm not a pussy. I can move it, but it is hard. It is so hard to move. It is like moving an entertainment center with all of the entertainment. No, it's like moving an entertainment center in 1996. Okay, remember 1996 TVs? It's like moving an entertainment center in 1996 with a 1996 big screen TV in it. It is so hard to move. So I try not to move it. So as I said, the internet connection is behind there. So I was leaning back and I was trying to fix the internet, reinstall the internet. And let me show you something. See this little bitch right here? My head was down and I brought my head up and I went, wham! And I just sliced my head. That picture, I thought I was honest. There was a good 45 minutes where I thought, I can't go to a show. I can't do a show. I got to go to the hospital. I'm going to need stitches. These are stitches. It was pouring blood. Now, I was also worried that my face was going to be stained with blood, but I jumped in the shower and I was able to actually get all of the blood off. I was pouring blood. I took it out. Yeah, I threw out a bunch of the boxes that came with the TV. But I have a plastic bag with paper towels that look like I murdered somebody in here. It was just filled with blood. And, I did the thing. I put the pressure on it. I got a little bit of salve thing, like a gel that helped. Supposedly it helps increase the scabbing. And we're going to be okay. It did not need stitches. Thank God. It seems to have. Oh, that is sore, though. All right, so that's why we were 5 minutes late. There was just a domino effect of stupidity that preceded the show going on today. It was a good 3 hours of me screaming at the TV, why aren't you downloading faster? Because new TV. And then I had to put the show together. I'm putting the show together. I got my head wrapped in a towel. The towel is now in the wash. The towel had blood on it. It was a whole thing. But I'm fine. I'm going to be fine. I was I was putting the energy out there. I'm like, oh, please do not need stitches. Please start to scab up. And it did. It actually stopped bleeding, which is good. Because I'm a bleeder, man. My head, when I cut myself on the head, I am a bleeder. Yeah, I don't know if you can see you know what is one of the best things? You cannot see my scar anymore. Maybe you can see it a little bit right here. But I have a great big scar on my head where I went the wrong way. There it is. It's the opposite. So I have this scar. Goes all, there you go. Now you can see it. A little bit, maybe. I ripped the top of my head off. And so I'm always freaking out whenever I cut my head. And here's another problem. I'm not going to be able to shave my head again until this thing completely goes back to normal. I'm not going to ever, because every time I shave my head, I'm going to reopen it. I'm going to rip right through the scab. So I don't know. I'm going to have a toilet bowl head, where you have the hair on the. That's enough. Nobody cares. Nobody is tuning in for your looks, dude. I know. But it's all about, how you feel personally. So it's been a hell of a morning, but it's been a good morning. It's been fine. I got the TV up and running. The internet was just, a little hink. My skin. You know what? How about that? Let's do that. Let's focus on the positive. Instead of saying it was a hell of a morning, let's say it was a miraculous morning, because bad things happen to people all the time. It's what happens in the immediate aftermath of those bad things that determine whether or not it was an actually terrible situation or a good situation. Because the minute I cut my head, that was bad. But then I began thinking, oh, please, please, I hope I don't need to go to the hospital. And I didn't. And I was like, oh, please, please, scab up. And it did. The TV that frustrated me so is working fine. It's working fine. I was screaming at it. I was angry. So I could live in the negative and I could be like, what a horrible morning. Or I can say, wow, man, some good things happened. Because bad things are always going to happen. It's just how you navigate them and what the immediate aftermath is. So it was a miraculous morning. How's that? Jeff says, just shave everything but a 2-inch circle around the... Just shave, I'm guessing, everything but a 2-inch circle around the cut. How ridiculous could that look? Well, luckily, that is an area where I don't have a lot of hair that grows anyway. But still, if I don't shave all through here, I just get this weird peach fuzz thing. We're going to be fine. All right. Should we start the show? Serenity now. The universe's energy was working in my favor today. Be appreciative of that. Could have been worse. Bad things are always going to happen. It's what occurs in the immediate aftermath of those bad things that determine if it was a terrible situation or a good one. And I choose to look on the positive. It's all a choice. It's all a mindset. You can direct your mind. Let me tell you, someone with depression, that was one of the best things that my therapist taught me about how everything is a choice. You control your mind. Your mind does not control you. You can give in to your worst instincts, or you can fight for the better angels that live inside us all. So I decided right now that it's instead of, although complaining about how awful everything is a little bit more interesting, right? Because nobody likes the, oh, kumbaya bullshit. That's, so, but anyway. All right, the show goes on. Welcome to the High Noon Show. Today is the 15th of February. It is the 46th day of the year 2022. 319 days until the end of the year. Let's talk about some of the things that happened on this day. Not a whole lot. Is it not a whole lot of things happened, or is it that you didn't have as much time as you typically have to put this list together because you were bleeding like a stuck pig? A little bit of both. In 1933, in Miami, Giuseppe Zangara. You know who Giuseppe Zangara is? Well, until John Hinckley, the man who provides our closing music, until John Hinckley, Giuseppe Zangara was America's favorite failed presidential assassin. That's right. In Miami, Giuseppe Zangara attempts to assassinate U.S. President-elect Franklin Delano Roosevelt, but instead he shoots Chicago Mayor Anton J. Cermak, who dies of his wounds. So he was like sort of successful, but he didn't get who he was aiming for. He killed the mayor of Chicago. And now, if you live in Chicago, you roll up the windows and lock the doors whenever you drive on Cermak Avenue. Anton Cermak died on this day in the attempted assassination of Franklin Delano Roosevelt in Miami. Let's see. He didn't die on this day. He died on March 6th. There you go. On this day in 1989, the Soviet-Afghan War officially came to a close, with the Soviet Union announcing that they had removed all troops from Afghanistan. More news on the Soviet military and the things they say coming up in the trending topics. 1992, on this day, serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer is sentenced to life in prison in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. That was on this day in 1992. Well, first of all, Dahmer was like one of the first, when I was a very young guy in radio. I went up to the apartment where Dahmer, it was like when they were carrying out the bodies and all that kind of stuff. They sent me up to Milwaukee to cover it for the radio station I was working at. And yeah, I talked to all of his neighbors. That was so weird. I walked the hallways. I went inside his apartment. Ooh, man. Well, I didn't walk inside the apartment. You weren't allowed to walk in. I walked inside the apartment building and I gazed through the yellow tape inside the apartment because they had removed the door because they were pulling out like giant he had freezers and stuff in there with body parts. It was crazy. And they removed the door to get him out, but I don't know how Jeffrey got him in. But That's a question we'll never have answered, I guess, because Jeffrey Dahmer was shanked in the prison laundry and put down like the dog that he was. He was killed in prison. On this day in 2001, the first draft of the complete human genome is published. That is something that smart people will tell you was one of the most important things in the history of mankind. And because it is, but we're not smart people, so we don't really, we take all that stuff for granted. Yeah, whatever. Human genome, that was important. Yeah, that was really important. Important for diseases, important for understanding who we are, important for understanding how this whole human petri dish becomes a person. It was human genome. First, for the first complete human genome study is published in Nature magazine on this day in 2001. All right, how about some birthdays? We do birthdays. We've got birthdays. Oh, we got birthdays. If I had sound and drops, I'd use them, but instead you get me singing. Born on this day in 1951, Jane Seymour, English-American actress, producer, and apparently jewelry designer. Isn't she most famous for being, for older people, she's most famous for being the queen of the miniseries. If there was a miniseries and it didn't have Richard Chamberlain and Jane Seymour, it was like, no, this isn't a good one. They were in everything. Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman, I guess, is who she's best known to for other generations. Jane Seymour, I can tell. Jane Seymour came in to the studio once. I don't know what the hell she was promoting. She was some movie or something. But when my partner Kelly and I were doing the radio show, Jane Seymour came in. And she had to have been, okay, so she's 71 now. So 61. She was probably in her late 50s. And Be Still My Heart. That is, I have a list. I won't give you the list, but hey, do a hot girls you've met in person draft. Well, Kim Kardashian is the first pick for sure, but I also think that Jane Seymour is second. Jane Seymour in her late 50s walked into the studio. First of all, a lovely woman, a delight. An absolutely classy English broad walks in. She sits down. She was fun. I remember her laugh. I remember I made her laugh. That's like one of the big things that I, whenever I meet like a super attractive woman, I try to make them laugh because that's like pretty much all I got going for me. And I remember making Jane Seymour laugh, and she did this thing where she went, and it was a legit laugh. It wasn't fake, although she is an actress, so who knows? But it was it wasn't as legit and as strong as when I made Kim Kardashian laugh. That's coming up, more on Kim Kardashian. But Jane Seymour, I remember she laughed and she went, ha 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 ha. Oh, that is funny. And it was like legit. It wasn't like phony. I just did it phony because I'm not an actor. But Jane Seymour like really laughed. And I remember I made that mental note. I went, oh, okay. All right. I'm just not a guy who looks like a thumb to her anymore. Now I'm someone who can make her laugh. And when you're as beautiful as Jane Seymour and you can have any man in the world, you just might go looking for other things. Not that I thought I had a shot at Jane Seymour, but I thought I had a better shot at her than I did a few seconds previous. Gorgeous, staggeringly beautiful woman. Just, I mean, even at like, what, maybe she was 60 years old. I don't know. Even at her, whatever, man. Ooh, I'll never forget that. I never even gave Jane Seymour a second thought until that moment. And then I'm like, wow. Let's see here. Born on this day in 1954, Matt Groening. Or is it Groening? It might be Groening. Might be Groening. I don't know. It's Matt Groening, the Simpsons guy, the guy that created The Simpsons. One of the great animators of our time. And he lived. Do an animator draft. I'm not going to stop with the draft. I'm not just going to do drafts for things. It has to be important. Matt Groening might be right there with like Walter Lantz and Walt Disney and who else? Seth MacFarlane. You know, greatest achievement and contributions to the popular culture. That's what I would put Matt Groening in. Born on this day in 1954, American animator, producer, and screenwriter. Born on this day in 1955, a total train wreck of a woman. This is another woman who I met who, although she claims that she's the first supermodel, she does not make my list of the most attractive women I've ever met. She was a train wreck. Janice Dickinson, American model, agent, and author, born on this day in 1955. My takeaway from meeting Janice Dickinson was, what an awful human being. She just seemed so awful. She wasn't nice. She didn't talk about bringing bad energy. I mean, I can sense people's energy when they walk in. I'm very sensitive to individuals' energy. What are you, a hippie now? It's not about being hippie. Some people might call it a soul. Some people might call it whatever, but I can pick up on people's energy. And man, Janice Dickinson had terrible energy. Born on this day in 1955. Here's a sad one. This is one that we all miss. Born on this day in 1964, the great Chris Farley. Of course, he died in 1997. Chris Farley was a dude that I knew a little bit. I mean, I wouldn't say that I was friends with him, but I can put it this way. I know this one for sure. I walked into a bar once with a group of friends, the Hunt Club in Chicago. I walked into the Hunt Club and Chris Farley was there with some of his friends. And Chris Farley was, partying and he was drunk. And I walked in and I sat down and everybody's like, it's Chris Farley. Chris Farley's at the bar. It's Chris Farley. Don't you know Chris Farley? I'm like, no. I'm a producer of a radio show he's done. I've met him. He lives in the building. I see him in the hallway and stuff like that. So go say hi to him. I'm not going to say hi to him. Chris Farley goes to the bathroom and he's stumbling like Chris Farley does. And he's walking through the crowd and everybody's saying hi to him. And he's like, hey, how are you? He's being Chris Farley. He was always Chris Farley. He always acted like that. And he walks past our table and he turns and he goes, Pugs! And he points and he keeps going. And I go, hey, okay, Chris Farley would know me if he ran into me in a bar. It was cool. I mean, he didn't stop and talk or anything, but that's okay. He acknowledged me. I remember when Chris Farley died, I was at a video store at, I want to say 83rd and Kedzie in Chicago. And I got in the car after renting a movie and I was listening to my radio station because that's what you do when you work in radio. So I got in the car and my radio station came on. And I remember I was listening to Jonathan Brandmeier. And Jonathan Brandmeier had another one of my co-producers, a guy by the name of Artie Kennedy, on a cell phone. And I'm like, oh, what bit are they doing? Are they doing a bit? They put Artie on the street? Because there was a bunch of us at that station. It was called The Loop. There was a bunch of us at that station who were sort of like third tier personalities who were like the street guys, the wacky stunt guys. And Artie was one and I was one. Kelly was one. Haji, Neil was one. And I would always listen to what the other stunt boys on the shows were doing because it was kind of a competition to try and be the top stunt boy. And Artie wasn't doing any stunts. He wasn't being silly. He was actually being really serious and he was kind of whispering. And I was like, oh, what's going on here? And then I learned that Chris Farley had been found dead in the Hancock building. The Hancock building is where our radio station is. Chris lived a couple of floors up, which is why we knew him on the radio show. Because Chris Farley used to go out for a night of partying and he loved our radio station and he would just bang on the side door and he'd open it up and it's Chris Farley. Hey man, could I do some radio? Yeah, come on in, Chris. You know where the studio is. Go on. Chris Farley on our radio station was like, remember in the old days of the Johnny Carson show when like Bob Hope would just walk in, like he'd interrupt whatever was going on? Well, that was Farley. So he lived in the building and Artie was covering Chris Farley, the death of Chris Farley. I was, as the kids today say, shook. I was immediately shook. I was like, whoa. And I remember thinking, okay, what should I do now? I've got my videos that I just rented. I was going to go home and watch a movie tonight. And I remember it was raining. It was like around Thanksgiving or between Thanksgiving and Christmas. I don't know. But I ended up running home, grabbing my recording equipment, my little recorder that we used at the time. And I drove right back down to the radio station where I had just come from. I drove all the way back downtown. Not all the way. I was on the south side, so it wasn't that bad. But I drove back to the radio station. And then I ran into the lobby because I had passes. And even though it was all like policed off and they wouldn't let people in the lobby, I could get in because I had a building pass because I worked there. And I saw Artie, and I'm like, what's going on? He's like, oh, dude, Farley's dead. And I'm like, are you sure? He's like, well, it's not confirmed. And I remember, I think Artie had left, or maybe Artie was still there. I don't know, man. It was all a blur. But I remember they brought the body out like minutes after I showed up, and it was on the gurney, and it was a huge person. Like, you just knew it was a huge person. And it was, man, I started to I got real emotional. Like, I didn't cry. I don't think I cried, but I remember being real emotional. And that was a rough day. That was terrible. But so happy birthday, Chris Farley. You were a fun guy with demons, but a wonderful guy. Born on this day in 1971. Another extremely funny person. And we talked about Matt Groening, great contributions to American popular culture, world, international pop culture through the art of animation. How about this one? Alex Borstein, born on this day in 1971. Family Guy, right? She's Lois Griffin. I couldn't think of Lois. I couldn't think of Lois's name. The wife on Family Guy, the mom on Family Guy, Lois Griffin, Peter's wife, Alex Borstein. So terrific. Also, a little personal note. I needed something new to watch, and I stumbled on The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and I had watched the first season years and years ago, and I was like, why didn't I watch season 2? Why didn't I? So I just started catching up. They're like in season 4 now. So I don't know, like last week or sometime, I started watching just an episode or two of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel on Prime. And Alex Borstein plays Susie, the manager, who everyone thinks is a boy. she's so good. Alex Borstein is so good. And when you think of her solely as Lois Griffin or as any of the other voiceover stuff that she does, you think that's all she can do. But she can sing. She's like a tremendous singer. She's like a good actress, and she's terrific in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which is a show that I have completely reconnected with. I've burned through, like I said, I started last week in season 2. I ripped through season 2 in about 6 or 7 days. And just last night, I started season 3. So here we go. Mrs. Maisel is about to be a celebrity. She's getting famous now in season 3. It's the story of a woman in the 1950s and 60s who decides that she wants to be a stand-up comedian. And it is the series was originally based on the experiences of Joan Rivers and what Joan Rivers went through when she was coming up as a female stand-up comedian in that era. But it's really interesting because it coincides with history, like although Mrs. Maisel is a fictional character based on Joan Rivers, the people that she interacts with are like real people. Like Lenny Bruce is a character in the show. It's really good. And also the girl who plays Mrs. Maisel, this like highly Jewish New York female comedian, Rachel Brosnahan. She is such a good actress that it is difficult for me to imagine that she isn't actually Jewish. She's an Irish Catholic girl. She's an Irish Catholic girl who plays this New York Jewish comedian. And she's really good. It's a good show. If it's something you haven't seen, and I say that dismissively, it's a good show. No, it's a real good show. It's a real good show. I really enjoy it. So there you go. Alex Borstein, Susie from Mrs. Maisel, Mrs. Maisel's manager. You are. And she's not just like a manager who appears in one scene every 3 episodes. She's like the manager who's glued to her hip. She's in it, she's in every episode. She's probably the second biggest star. Tony Shalhoub maybe is the second biggest star. I don't know. Whatever. It's good. Happy birthday, Alex Borstein. All right, born on this day in 1976. This one goes out to my buddy Aaron. Brandon Boyd, lead singer of the band Incubus, was born on this day in 1976, still alive. I was not a big Incubus fan, but my best buddy Aaron, he was a big Incubus fan. So when your friend is really into a band, you sort of by proxy become aware of the band. And at some point, if the songs are good enough, you start to enjoy them. And I became an Incubus fan. So happy birthday, Brandon Boyd. Never understood. Incubus has a weird career. They are among a very large, not huge, but among a very large group of people, Incubus is like the greatest band that's ever been. And I was really not aware of it until I saw them in concert. And I was like, well, my goodness. If I'm being honest, all of their songs kind of sound the same to me. Like I can't really tell the difference between a lot, but I liked them. I enjoyed that one song that they did like 20 times in concert. It was great. So happy birthday, Brandon Boyd. They're great. They're fine. I don't understand why they're not bigger though. Like, and they haven't really done anything in like 10 years, right? 10, 15 years. Incubus, are they even still together? I don't even know if they're still together. I don't know. But happy birthday, Brandon Boyd. Also celebrating a birthday today, 1995, Megan with 2 E's. Megan the Stallion was born today in 1995. Rather bougie of you, Megan. Why not Megan the Stallion? Why do you got to be so bougie with your Megan the Stallion? Deaths. Like I said, didn't have a whole lot of time to go through these and research them today, but Vanity died today in 2016, so 6 years ago. Vanity 6, Nasty Girls was her hit with Vanity 6. Then she became an actress. She was in Action Jackson. She is not Apollonia. She is not Sheila E. In my mind's eye, those three people, I have to stop and I have to like really think about Apollonia, Sheila E. and Apollonia, Apollonia, Sheila E. and Vanity, and I have to go, okay, which is which? Okay, Sheila E. was the drummer, Apollonia was Purple Rain, Vanity was Nasty Girls, and Action Jackson. Vanity died on this day in 2016. She was like 57 years old or something. She was gorgeous, man. Vanity was gorgeous. I think. Okay, so if I'm doing of those three, F, Marry, Kill. Oh, geez, no, you're not gonna do F, Marry, Kill. I guess this is sad to do on the anniversary of her death, but I think because of her like legendary crack habit, I'd have to kill Vanity, F Apollonia, and marry Sheila E. Because Sheila E is like a legitimate musician who's like got a career and all that stuff. So that's it. Yeah, that's the F, Marry, Kill for Apollonia, Sheila E, and Vanity. Vanity died on this day. I would K her. I would F Apollonia just because I recently saw Purple Rain, and oh my God, was she a beautiful woman? And Sheila E seems cool. But yeah, Vanity died. Vanity died of like multiple organ failure due to decades of a crack habit. She got clean though. Vanity got clean in like the 1990s, and she had a conversion to Christianity where she became a born again preacher. She ended up, that was her second act. But all the damage that she had done to her body through years and years of crack cocaine addiction just took its toll. She died on this day in 2016. Vanity. A couple of plane crashes. Sabina Flight 548 in 1961 crashes in Belgium, killing 73 people. And in there was another one. It was a cargo flight though, and so it wasn't really a commercial, so it didn't meet our standards. All right, let's do a moment of joy, real quick. A moment of joy. Hey now. Why am I not prepared here? I thought I prepared for this earlier today. All right, let me pull up my notes. I got my notes on my one computer, but I didn't have them pulled up on the other computer. So here we go. Okay, the internet isn't working. Are we connected? Damn light. There we go. Yes, we are connected. There we go. I even turned the new TV off because I didn't want any additional drag on the internet for the show. And then I rebooted and I did all that stuff. Okay, moment of joy. Here you go. Yesterday with the kid Wee Woo. There we go. All right. I think that was the best moment of joy that we've ever had. This one is not. This one is a moment of joy. Whatever. Hey, you ever think about teaching your dog how to play musical instruments? Well, check this out. Here's a dog jamming out. This dog is doing it for treats, not for the awards. Look at the tail hitting the drum. Yeah, drum solo. All right, there you go. That's a dog. That's a dog playing instruments. That should put you in a good mood. Alex Borstein was in a show called Moving on HBO or Showtime with Niecy Nash and Laurie Metcalf. She also has cameos. Also has cameos by Carole King and the lady who played Millie on Dick Van Dyke. Jeff, you could have just stopped at Carole King. The lady who played Millie on Dick Van Dyke. Going deep. You went deep on that one, Jeff. You went deep. Let's see. What is today the National Day of? We like to tell you everything about today that is important and what we should be celebrating or commemorating or whatever. It's National Gumdrop Day. Okay, Grandma. You know what we call gumdrops now? Starbursts. That's what a modern gumdrop looks like. Or maybe, I guess, dots. No, not. Is it dots? Whatever. Gumdrops. It's grandma candy, as we call it. The 15th today is Singles Awareness Day. Yesterday, of course, the 14th was Valentine's Day. Today is Singles Awareness Day. So, well, if you're single, you're aware. I mean, I would think that, so is it other people? I don't want your pity. Single people don't want your pity. Single people, I ate sushi in bed last night. Well, white trash sushi is what I call it. But I call it sushi because it sounds better. You know what my white trash sushi is? Okay, I'll tell you. It's, crab meat, like imitation crab flakes, which is actually just haddock, but they call it crab, and you buy it in the package, So you take the crab meat and you chop it up into nice little squares, and then you take a cucumber and you slice the cucumber really thin, and you place the crab meat on top of the cucumber, and then you take a little bit of soy sauce and wasabi mixture that I like, and then you drizzle it on it, and then you just eat it. White trash sushi. Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. I ate it in bed last night. I ate it in bed. I didn't spill any. I didn't do anything, although the bowl is still sitting on my bedside. Single. That's the kind of things you can do when you're single. You gonna clean that up? Maybe. It's also National Wisconsin Day. Oh, gee Christ. Oh, gee. Oh, my. Oh, look at that there. That's Wisconsin Day. National Wisconsin Day. Why is it Wisconsin Day? Should I do the whole show with a Wisconsin accent, eh? Maybe I should. Yeah. Hey. Oh, geez. In 2017, National Day calendar began celebrating each state in order they entered the Union, starting the week of Independence Day and ending with Hawaii. We highlight a small part of each state's history, foods, and the people who make up the state. Many states have their own state celebrations, and National Days, calendars, observances in no way replace them. There's so much more to explore up there in Wisconsin. We can't help but celebrate our beautiful country. But on this day, we take special moment to single out the great state of Wisconsin. Oh, yeah, hater. That is, you got it. If you don't like Wisconsin, it's rich in copper. It's rich in lead, forest, and fertile farmland. Wisconsin became the 30th state on May 29th, 1848. Yeah, hey, all the way back then. Yeah. In 1634, French explorer Jean Nicolet was the first European to reach Wisconsin while seeking a northwest passage to China. Mining boom, not fur trading. Oh, no, yeah, hey, everybody there, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, they all think this is the fur trade. It's not the fur trade. Not the fur trade. The mining boom is what led to the nickname the Badger State. I don't know why. I guess they had to kill a bunch of badgers when they were doing the mining. According to oral history, the miners burrowed into the hillsides, much like badgers. Oh, there you go. Yeah, hey, that's your explanation right there. That's what you need to know. Because the miners who were digging into hills, they were digging like badgers, don't you know? And it was all very much like a rodent, like a rodent. Wasn't for their hair. It was for their digging abilities there, and that's why it's called the Badger State. The first wave of settlers of the area also began the uprooting of the Ho-Chunk Menominee Indians, the Chippewas, and other indigenous peoples. Yeah, that's right. Early in Wisconsin settlement daily production. Oh, sorry about that. I pronounced it wrong because I'm reading. We don't have great schools in Wisconsin. So, early in Wisconsin, unless you're talking about the University of Wisconsin, go Badgers. Madtown, that's Madison, Wisconsin. That's actually the best city in Wisconsin. If you ever have the opportunity to go to Wisconsin, I would suggest you stay away from the Milwaukee. I would suggest that you stay away from Green Bay, unless, of course, it's football season. Then that's a pretty fun place to be. But if you're going to go to Wisconsin, you probably want to go to Madison. Madison is Madtown. It's a great town. A lot of people like to compare Madison to Austin, Texas, because it's very similar to Austin, Texas, in the way that it's a state capital, and it's also the massive major university is right there, University of Wisconsin, Big Ten, go Badgers, and lots of lakes, and there's all kinds of you can do anything. You can go outside and you can run in the woods, you can dig. Mining, dairies, and breweries and dairy farms grew up one after another. An influx of German immigrants in the 1850s brought a new brand of dreamers to the great state of Wisconsin. Brewers cropped up across Wisconsin, satisfying the thirst of the Badger State. As with brewers in other regions of the country, that's because of the Germans. They're the Germans. They all moved there. I don't know why. I guess the Germans were good at digging, and they got there for the copper mines, and then they started brewing their beer, and then they had cows, and so milk, cheese. That's it, cheese. Don't forget about the cheese. The 18th Amendment of 1919 prohibited alcohol. It drowned out much of the competition, leaving only a handful of brewers after the legislation was repealed in 1933 there. From Lake Michigan to Superior and numerous rivers and lakes in between, Wisconsin offers ample opportunity for people for water, recreation, and sport. There are also year-round trails perfect for summer hiking or substantial snow for winter activities. And we welcome all. We just don't like it when you people from Chicago come up and then you act like you own the place because, you don't own the place. This is Wisconsin. We do things a little bit differently up here. We don't care that you consider that Wisconsin is your backyard. We have to live here all 4 seasons, and you just come up in the summer or to do some ice fishing in the winter. Thank you. That was my tribute to Wisconsin. Went a little long, probably got very irritating at some point, but thank you. That was Wisconsin Pete. It's going to be that character's name. Breaking news. Okay, so let's get into the big things that are pending. Pending. Oh my God. Did I point out the injury to my head today? And by the way, it's the head injury is not like a Bob Saget kind of a deal. It's not. Bob Saget. We'll talk about that. Have you seen like a whole bunch of coroners from around the country have gotten access to Bob Saget's death autopsy report or whatever? And they're all like, wait, what? What happened to this guy? We'll talk about it. But apparently, I'll put it to you this way. All the other coroners are saying this dude had injuries consistent with being beaten over the head with a baseball bat. His skull was like fractured all up from the back all the way to the front. Consistent with blunt force trauma, repeated blunt force trauma from a baseball bat or a fall of 30 to 50 feet where you land on your head. So this whole idea that Bob Saget just laid down in his head and bumped his head on the headboard, that doesn't seem like what it is. Let's get QAnon on this. I'm sure QAnon will get us some real answers as to what happened to Bob Saget. Breaking news, though, we do have this. This is breaking within the last half hour or so. President Joe Biden will speak. He's going to address the nation at 2:30 p.m. He is going to be discussing the Ukraine situation. Now, as I said, this was not planned. This was not planned as of like 10 o'clock this morning because the White House had to revise it. They pulled back. Ooh, it's big. When the White House scrubs the president's released schedule for the day and says, yeah, that's all off the table now. Oh, and by the way, he's going to be addressing the country at 2:30 p.m. today, Central Standard Time. I don't know if he's going to be doing it from, a podium where he walks down the hall and makes an announcement, or if he's going to be sitting at a desk. What does this mean? Well, he spent the last couple of days and over the weekend in Camp David with his advisors and his intelligence specialists. And then he spent the last couple of days speaking for long periods of time with not only Putin, but also the leaders of France, Germany, and the UK. And apparently there's a decision, and he's going to sit down and he's going to talk to the nation today, and he's going to tell us exactly what's happening. Now, there are reports regarding the Ukraine situation. There are reports that Vladimir Putin has made some concessions to Biden in the talks and has agreed to pull back some of his troops. That was released publicly. Here's the problem with that. The concession was released publicly by Soviet. Well, why not? It is basically Soviet. I mean, Putin was a Soviet spook. He was the leader of the KGB. So it was released by them. And American intelligence officials are saying, no, he's just saying that because at this point, stuff's about to jump off, and he wants the other countries to be seen as the aggressors in this situation. So we'll find out. We'll find out what is happening here. Look, hey, if Biden sits down and tells us that we're going to be okay because he has talked Putin out of it, and that the withdrawal of some Soviet troops from border positions is a real thing. If we're now going to say that's a real thing, then it doesn't matter how much you hate the guy. You got to give him credit. He stood up to Putin. He didn't back down. He sent troops. He sent supplies. He rallied the other NATO forces. And, if Putin's backing down, Putin's backing down. But we'll see. There's a lot of people. I'm watching experts all morning long, and they're saying, no, it's also just as likely that Biden's going to prepare the United States for what could be coming, because it's last night I was watching. I've become in the last 24 hours completely obsessed with the Ukraine story. So obsessed that I was watching a live stream on YouTube last night that was monitoring flights along the border. And last night around 9:30 our time, 9:30 p.m. Central Time. No. It had to have been later because it was after the show. So it was like 10:30. So it was like 10:30 our time. A plane popped up on Flight Tracker that was flying right next to the border. Like it was flying the length of the Ukraine border, turning around and then flying back, never encroaching on Ukraine airspace, but being right there. And there was some debate as to whether or not it was a Soviet plane. Some people thought it was a bomber. The experts, however, who were manning this live stream, they said that it's most likely a drone for reconnaissance. But earlier in the day, Putin had the story released that they were going to be pulling back forces, and that is not an indication of pulling back forces. That would be an indication that they are making one last look at everything to figure out where they're going to go in and what kind of resistance they're facing. So we'll see. That's coming up at 2:30. Biden's either going to say I backed him down and we're going to be fine, or he's going to say something else. He's going to say be prepared for the worst because it could pop off at any minute. The minute they roll into the Ukraine, we're going to have to defend. And when I say we, I mean NATO. And this is really troubling to me because why is it that the people who have the American flag in their little bio, they claim to be a patriot, Christian, and all that stuff? Why are these people, in many cases, I'm saying in overwhelmingly many cases, these people all seem to be so willing to take the side of Russia? Like there was one guy arguing, Russia's our friend. Russia's not our friend. That is about the most anti-American attitude or position that you can take on this. Russia hates us. Russia is in no position to stand up to us alone because, well, Russia's almost a failed state. The oligarchs have all the money. The people are not happy. Putin's holding on by a thread. He's trying to do something to promote some sense of Russian superiority again. The excuses that people with American flags who are, I'm a patriot, who are saying these ridiculous things, talking shit about NATO. NATO is us, people. You're talking shit about our own people. And what, we don't need NATO? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. If you are a proud American and you believe in Americans' moral authority in the world, if you believe that our form of democracy is something that the rest of the world should follow, and you think that America should be a superpower instead of, say, Canada. Look, if you want America to be Canada or Australia, fine. I can understand that, and we can have a conversation about that. But the genie is out of the bottle. America is a superpower, okay? And if you want us to be Canada or Australia, then can we get rid of our massive defense budget and stop building up like we're a superpower and redirect that money to other places where it could be used? Because as it stands right now, our tax dollars are going to building the fiercest, freakiest military the planet has ever known. We have a massive defense budget. We are, like it or not, a superpower. And if we believe in America's right as a moral authority to be a superpower, as I do, then, we've got to police the world. What do you mean police the world? That's all we got involved in Vietnam. No, Vietnam was more political than anything else. It was about the rise of communism in that part of the world. That's a whole nother conversation, and we can have it. But when we're talking about Europe, our choices in being a superpower are thus: we can have American military bases all over the world in countries that don't want us there. We can have them in, we decided not to do that. So what we did was we formed alliances and we created groups like NATO, where other like-minded nations who agree that we should be the superpower, they join forces and create one international fighting force so that it's not just all American boys and women dying in Czechoslovakia, right, for a war that is going to be it's going to immediately impact that part of the world. I mean, of course, it's going to existentially affect everything in the world, but immediately, why should a kid from Indiana have to die in a field in Czechoslovakia when we can have people born in Europe defending their own? That's what NATO is. NATO is America. NATO is a whole. Now, it started out as just a North Atlantic-based thing for the rise of the Soviet Union and their encroachment into Eastern Europe. That's where it was started. But NATO now has nations all over the world that are a member. NATO is a world force. This is going to be NATO standing up to Russian aggression in the Ukraine. Well, why don't we just, like, there was this thing that was floated over the weekend. Well, why don't we just say that if Putin's afraid of the Ukraine joining NATO, which is what this is about, Putin doesn't want a NATO nation right there on his border. He doesn't want it. So if Putin is afraid of Ukraine joining NATO, and that's what this is all about, he wants to take over Ukraine before they have a chance to join NATO and become westernized and become, a full-fledged member of the American superpower club. Why don't we just tell Putin that they can't join NATO? Why the fuck would we do that? Because we actually want them to join NATO. Why? That's stupid. That argument, which I am seeing online among people with blue checks, who, granted, they appear on OAN and nonsense shit like that. Those people are forging an argument that supports the position of Vladimir Putin and his desire to reform the Soviet Union. That's what Putin is telling his people. He is telling his people that we will be great again, and it starts with getting back all of these countries that were once under the Soviet Union, who have now gone west, who have now established democracies, who are now, and Ukraine is the crown jewel of that entire deal. Ukraine is a massive country. It's a strategic country. People of Ukraine voted, and they didn't vote for the guy that was backed by Putin. No matter what Putin tried to do to throw that election, it didn't work. And there is a fairly Western-oriented leader now in the Ukraine, and the people of the Ukraine, as best as I can tell, seem to want to join with the rest of Europe. The people of Ukraine no longer want to be like a Borat country, and they want to be more like Germany. They want to be more like Kiev is a world-class city. They want that back. They were once one of the important places in the world, and Putin doesn't want that. Putin doesn't want Ukraine to be absorbed into the West and into NATO. So he's saber rattling and he's aligning his forces on the border. And anybody that you see with an American flag who says, why don't we just not let Ukraine join? Because we want Ukraine to join, stupid. Because we want to spread the American way of life to the rest of the world. That is one of the details that are incumbent with anybody who wants to be a superpower. Now you can say, again, the argument, well, we should be a superpower. Okay, then that's fine. Then let's talk about our defense budget. Then let's talk about, because our defense budget is right now built for a superpower. It's built to defend the world. And we put a whole bunch of our tax dollars into shit that we don't even need. But we're building up, we're building up, we're building up. So if you're telling me that it is not America's role in the world to be a superpower anymore, fine. Then let's have free college. Let's take the defense budget money and let's give people free health care. Huh? Oh, you don't want that either. You don't know what you fucking want because you're not intellectually consistent. You're just listening to AON and you're parroting back all the shit these stupid people with agendas are putting out there, and you're believing it because they're not fucking liberals. Yikes. Show isn't supposed to be political, but man, we're on the verge of what could very easily become the Third World War. And there's so much going on in America, so many bad people who think they're patriots because it's easy to wave a flag and wear a red and white and blue shirt on 4th of July. But it takes more than that. It takes an understanding of what America's role in the world is. And I'm just not seeing it. I'm just not seeing it from these people. My God. It's not liberal to believe that America is a superpower and that we should be a superpower. Well, I don't want to be a superpower. Okay, again, let's go back and talk about our defense budget. Let's go back. Then let's talk about scaling it all down. I can have that conversation. If that is what we all agree to, fine. Okay. I think that there are some merits to that point of view. I think that we could actually become, as a society, a much more safe and secure society if we just decide, you know what, forget about it. But then all kinds of shit's going to happen elsewhere, and we're not going to be able to clutch our pearls and go, oh, if we only had... No. We are either a superpower whose influence is wielded throughout the globe, or we're not. Either way, it comes down to money and how we allocate our tax dollars, because currently we are allocating tax dollars like we're a superpower. So that's, like I said, the genie's out of the bottle on that one, that we are that. So I haven't looked at the chat room. I'm a little afraid to look at the chat room. But at the end of the show, we will delve back into all of these topics, and I will argue with you people who do not understand America's role in the global society. Prince Andrew is trending today. Another thing that's trending, Prince Andrew, of course, the child molesting prince. He is not. He's not in direct line, right? He's not. He's. What would he be? So, okay. So if you're in the direct line, does that mean you're addressed as his royal? Like Prince Charles is His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales. He's the heir apparent, His Royal Highness. So Prince Andrew would be, man, I don't know. I got to go back and watch I got to go back and watch The Crown. I don't remember how they were, but it's all about. So he's not in line. He's not His Royal Highness. Well, maybe somebody in here in the chat room understands. I don't know. But Prince Andrew, he is by fate of his own birth a lesser royal. He's at this point, because Charles has a bunch of kids, and because now William has kids. Yeah, Prince Andrew is like 10th in line at this point. I mean, I think when he was born, he was 3rd in line, but now he's like 10th in line. He keeps falling down the ladder as far as how close he is to the throne. Prince Andrew and Virginia and forgive me, I can't, is it Giuffre, Joffrey, Virginia Joffrey? She was the Epstein girl. She was one of Epstein's underage girls that he would pimp out to men of power. There are pictures of her with Prince Andrew. She is suing him and claiming that he was molested. This is more of a civil situation than a criminal investigation. But the British newspapers have been going insane on this story every single day. It is just another beating and another black mark for the royal family. The royal family has been doing everything the last couple of weeks to change the narrative from Andrew molested a little girl to, one of the big things that they did was, okay, so here are a couple of stories that I've been reading. So the first big thing that they did was, and Harry and Meghan, they don't really hang out with the royal family, but they do steal a lot of the British press whenever they make a rambling. So apparently Buckingham Palace convinced Harry and Meghan to put out a release saying that they're writing a book that is going to give all of these details, shocking details about royal life. Buckingham Palace apparently said, hey, if you guys want to start talking about that book that you're putting out, now would be a good time, because we really need people to stop talking about how Prince Andrew diddles kids. Can we do that? That'll be a distraction. They'll go chase that story. So they would rather have publicity of a tell-all book about Prince Harry and his life growing up in the royal family than have the front page of the newspapers being Prince Andrew's diddled kids. That's so lesser of two evils. So that was the first thing that they did. And then last week, I think it was on Friday or on Thursday. Oh, maybe it was earlier than that. I don't know. I have my days all screwed up. But then they just out of nowhere, like the Queen goes, we're going to acknowledge Camilla Parker Bowles as Her Royal Highness. We are giving her that title. She's not supposed to have that title because she's the second wife. She was supposed to be like the Queen something. Like when Prince Charles becomes king, his wife was going to be the Queen something. And they made the big announcement that no, we're going to change that. We're going to change that. When they ascend to the throne, Camilla will now be Her Royal Highness, Queen Camilla, which is a big deal, apparently, in royal circles, because that changes everything. She gets to use the executive bathroom. All kinds of like cool things come with that. So that was a big deal, and that shook the British press for a couple of days. And what was the other thing they did? They did another thing with Camilla. Oh no, they started releasing plans for the plan for the ascension of Charles, which now has all of the British newspapers going, Is the Queen about to step down? Is the Queen sick? Is the Queen... But in reality, all of this stuff that has come out in the last 10 days has been all about the trial. It's been all about taking attention away from Prince Andrew Diddle's kids. Well, none of that stuff really worked. So today they decided to just end it. They just ended it. Prince Andrew has settled with Virginia Joffrey. Andrew admits no guilt. I did nothing wrong. But he is going to fully fund her charity, which is a big support charity for victims of sex trafficking and all of that. Breaking news, Prince Andrew has settled a sexual abuse lawsuit with Virginia Joffrey, one of Jeffrey Epstein's accusers. According to a new court filing in Manhattan on Tuesday, financial terms were not disclosed. So that's it. The trial is over. So the Sun and the Globe and the Daily Mail and all of these like sketchy ass London newspapers are no longer going to be able to do a front page story every day about Andrew the child molester, which they really wanted to go away. So now it's gone away. From royal watchers are saying that the undisclosed amount of money has to be huge, because one of the main contentions of Virginia's lawyers was that, he's got to admit guilt. He's got to admit that he did it. But they've settled, and he doesn't have to admit that he did it. And there's a dollar amount, so it should be pretty big. So that's the big piece of news that broke this morning. Another very big piece of news that broke this morning is Remington, the gun manufacturer. They've also settled a lawsuit with the families of the Sandy Hook victims. Now, Sandy Hook. I don't want you either know what Sandy Hook was or you don't. Terrible. Don't even want to put my mind there. Don't even want to think about it. The Sandy Hook massacre. There was a lawsuit, and it was the first time that a gun manufacturer was held responsible for the actions resulting in a massacre. And this was a school massacre. Now, Remington is in bankruptcy. Remington not doing so well lately. This lawsuit has caused a lot of problems for the company, and they've gone into bankruptcy. But they have settled for $73 million with some families, not all the families of the Sandy Hook victims. Remington has settled for $73 million with some of the families of the Sandy Hook victims. This is the first time that a gun manufacturer has been held accountable. Remington, as I said, they're in bankruptcy. The case was filed in 2014. The original settlement offer, they offered a little while back, they offered $33 million to make it go away. And they came all the way up to $73 million. The families turned down the $33 million. And the big news here is not only that Remington, who is in bankruptcy, and by the way, bankruptcy, they'll get the money because this falls to the insurance companies. All the insurance companies that represent Remington now have to pay the $73 million. And the settlement was, this isn't an award. This isn't like they're going to appeal it and then they're going to go back to court and it's going to get lesser. No, this is a settlement. This means the attorneys for the insurance companies representing Remington have said, okay, we can do this. We can handle $73 million. But the big deal is that within the settlement, Remington has to turn over all their internal documents, their details with, internal conversations about what their guns can do and all this stuff, correspondence with the NRA, and we're going to find out all their correspondence with gun lobbyists. It's a big deal. It's a very big deal, and it was major breaking news this morning, right up until Prince Andrew settled. And then right up until Joe Biden decided he was going to talk to the nation about the Ukraine. One of the stories we've been covering here on the show every single day is the love story, the love story to end all love stories. Of course, I'm talking about Kanye and Julia Fox. Now, remember, my whole point has been, what is wrong with this girl? This Julia Fox girl, she's in one room giving an interview where she talks about how they're going to be together forever and they just have a connection unlike any connection that either of them have ever had, and that it's crazy how much they're in love, and this is like the perfect situation. And Kanye's in the next room going, "Kim, come back to me. I want my family back." So, I mean, it's so humiliating for this Julia Fox girl. I mean, has she no self-respect? Well, apparently she does, because Kanye and Julia Fox have officially broken up. Kanye West and Julia Fox officially broke up on Valentine's Day, 1 month after Kanye and the actress first sparked romance rumors. The duo has called it quits. Let's see, what did they say? And then, they're saying all this, that it's mutual. Julia still loves him and he still loves her, but because of all the press attention, it was just an untenable situation. And it's not. There were probably at some point, Julia Fox just snapped and she went, "Are you kidding? Are you texting Kim again? What am I doing here? Kanye, I am a smoke show. I have dated nothing but billionaires before. What is happening here? People are making fun of me. There is a guy who looks like a thumb who streams every day at noon who has been making fun of me endlessly for the entire month that we have been together. I can't do this." So they broke up. Ye 44 and Julia 32 first sparked romance rumors over New Year's holiday. After spending time together in Miami, the stars then took their budding romance to New York City, where they were photographed on multiple outings. Kanye wasn't dating anybody. Kanye still thinks he's going to get back, and more on this in a second. Kanye still thinks he's like going to get back together with her, and he's not. There is, after the story that's next, after this story, I can't. Although women, man, I don't know. women do crazy things. Women, you think, oh, there's no way she's getting back together with him. And then it's like, oh, we're in love again. Oh my God. That never happens with me. Well, whenever a woman decides she's done with me, it's done. Of course, I don't really pine. I don't, please come back. I don't do that. So I don't know. Maybe if I tried, who knows? But let's see, where was I? Okay, so they broke up. So Kanye and Julia Fox, they have broken up, and but it's all good. It was mutual, just like junior high. It wasn't mutual. He didn't love you, lady. He didn't want. You were arm candy. Kanye had no girlfriend. He was trying to put the relationship with Kim back together. And then she started dating Pete Davidson, and he's like, well, I got to give me a smoke show. And then all of a sudden, you conveniently appear on his arm everywhere, and you're talking about how in love you are. And he's like, I hate Pete Davidson. Come on. There was never anything on his part with you. He doesn't care about you. So there you have it. So Kanye and Julia have broken up. Now, here's a story. I'm going to have to pull this up because we're going to show you guys this. This is serious. There's no joking about this one. So last night, after I finished the Pillow Talk show with me and Parker, I go in there and I start, I like to hate watch the show for a little bit. Whatever it was that I just recorded, I sit there and I just load and load and load. And I promised to stop doing things like drinking while on the air, but then I just do it anyway. My mouth gets dry, all this talking. So the story that was trending last night, it was trending under the hashtag Kim Other Phone. Have you guys been following this? This is some creepy shit, man. This is some creepy shit. So Kim Other Phone was trending. I'm like, what's this about? So I click on it and I start looking at it. And last night, Valentine's Day. Okay, so yesterday, Kanye sent, and we'll show you the picture. I'll pull up the pictures here. Kanye sent Kim a truckload of roses to her house, right? Valentine's Day gift. From your boy who you love, and I know you still love me. Kanye sent Kim a truckload of, and he had the truck painted. It said, so it was black, and it said something about Kim on the side that wasn't just decals. It was like, it was painted. It was done. Like a brand new truck. So he bought a truck, and then he bought whatever. I don't know. But it's crazy. It's like way crazy stalker stuff. And the truck looked like a funeral hearse. And people are like, whoa, why is he sending Kim on Valentine's Day a truck filled with what looks like funeral flowers and a funeral thing? Then, apparently later in the night, Kim sent Kanye a text begging him to stop harassing her and stop harassing Pete. And she said, this is getting out of hand. Pete is getting threats. You need to call off, your people, because something bad is going to happen to Pete. Because, she's afraid that Kanye is going to send thugs to kill Pete or something, So Kanye, of course, took that personal text message from Kim and put it on his Instagram. He just put it up on his Instagram. Kim's pleading with Kanye to turn the temperature down on this whole thing because people are getting scared and people are getting worried, right? And the picture of the Instagram, the phone, the screenshot of the phone text message that Kanye received was in Kanye's phone as Kim Other Phone. So apparently she called him on a different phone. Now here, I'll show this to you. It had people really freaking out. It seems to me now. Look, Pugs, are you saying that Kim Kardashian, isn't overdramatic? Of course the Kardashians are overdramatic. That's their brand. But first of all, she knows things about him that we don't know. we only know the shit about Kanye that has spilled over into the public sphere. We know about the silly stuff that he does in public. She actually lived with the guy, and she actually decided to get her kids out of there, and she left that guy. We know that Kanye is an obvious bipolar sufferer, that he's a little bit unhinged. We also know that he has delusions of grandeur. We also know that he believes in some respect that he is either God himself, Jesus himself, or some sort of prophet of God. So Kanye is, I believe, a potentially very dangerous individual. He has all the money in the world. He has delusions of grandeur. He is now flat out stalking his ex-wife. It's just, and let me put it to you this way. Kim Kardashian, she was a little girl when the whole O.J. Simpson thing went on, where Nicole Brown Simpson was murdered because of O.J.'s crazy jealousy and all that stuff. The Kardashians and the Simpsons were very good friends. Kim Kardashian considered Nicole Brown Simpson to be like a godmother. Nicole Brown Simpson was Kris Jenner, Kim Kardashian's mom, her best friend. They were best friends. Her father was one of O.J. Simpson's attorneys. The mom was extremely close friends with Nicole Brown, and the dad was extremely close friends with O.J. Simpson. And, the mom's best friend, Kim's, as she called her, my godmother, Kim's best friend was murdered by the insane stalker lunacy of, so all I'm telling you is that she's fully aware of what powerful men who feel like they have a right are capable of. So here, let's pull this up. Let me see. Here's the text that Kanye posted last night, which has got a lot of people a little bit worried. And all right, let's see what we got here. Okay, so this isn't the okay. So here, it's going to take me a minute here to work through exactly which ones we want to do. All right, let's see what this one is. Here we go. Okay, so here is the first one. This is Binyad. Okay. So here is Kim. This is what Kanye posted. Here's Kim begging Kanye. All right. You are creating, Kim says, see Kim, other phone. You are creating a dangerous and scary environment, and someone will hurt Pete, and this will all be your fault. And so Kanye responds, upon my wife's request, please, nobody do anything physical to Skeet. I'm going to handle the situation myself. And then he put this picture of Ving Rhames with, I think that's Dave Chappelle maybe, from a movie, in a headlock. And so Kanye finally does what Kim wants. He tells people, leave Pete alone. I'm going to handle it. All right. I wonder if there's any crazy people that want to impress Kanye by handling it for him. All right. So there's that one. And then here's the other one. It goes on. He didn't share everything, but he did share some really troubling shit. He is a freak. He is spiraling out of control. All right. Let's see what this one is. All right. Okay, so Kim says, well, thank you. He says something of love and consideration to him. We don't know what the rest of this is. And Kim responds, well, thank you. There are dangerous people out there, and this is scary, and it doesn't have to be. And Kanye responds, I will always do everything to protect you and our family forever. And I listened to you and told everyone to make sure nothing physical happens to Skeet. That's what he calls Pete. Tries to mock him. And then Kim says here on the top one, why can't you keep any of our conversations private? Because he immediately posted them to his Instagram. And here's what the psycho says. Because I got a text from my favorite person in the world. I'm your number one fan. Why wouldn't I tell everyone? And then there you go. There you see the truck that he sent. Come on, man. Come on. We keep our phone because I got a text from my favorite person in the world. I'm your number one fan. Why wouldn't I tell her? He is out of his mind, man. And I'm telling you, a couple of, I don't know. I guess maybe I thought this was all just a stupid publicity thing. But this dude, we know that he's crazy. We know that he suffers from bipolar. We know that he's got delusions of grandeur. We know that he's got unstoppable resources. We know that he is crazy in love with his ex-wife and is refusing to acknowledge that she is trying to move on. And now he's doing crazy shit publicly. It makes if this was all not a bit, but if this was all on brand for the drama that we're all caught up in concerning Kanye and Kim, he wouldn't be posting publicly these private appeals from Kim to stop the violence and all that stuff. And then when she says, why do you post? Why can't we have any private conversation? It's like you can tell that she's frustrated, but she also probably knows that she needs to handle him like a tiger. She needs to make sure that she doesn't set him off. Because I love you, baby, and we're meant to be together and nobody's ever going to break us apart and I will ever. Man, it's getting scary. I know, well, we all hate Kim and we all hate Kanye. No, man, you know what? Kanye's a sick MFer. He's got some problems. And regardless of what you think about Kim and her brand and all that kind of stuff, she's got a right to be scared. She's got a right to be a little bit concerned. Kanye West could very easily decide that he doesn't want to live anymore and that he's accomplished all that he's accomplished. And, he's just going to go out as just this legend. He's going to make OJ look like a punk. If you don't think that's possible, especially considering that Kanye believes on some level that he is some sort of prophet, some sort of a spiritual guru, that he is ready for whatever comes next. And he's going to go up and dominate heaven next. This is some scary shit, man. Kanye is out of control. So there you have. That's the latest with Kim and Kanye. And Julia Fox, she should be counting her blessings that Kanye doesn't love her, because it seems to me like Kanye is a dangerous MFer. All right, also trending today, Simone Biles, a much nicer story. Simone Biles is trending because the Olympic gymnast Simone Biles and Houston Texans defensive back Jonathan Owens got engaged last night. Congratulations. How wonderful. Look forward to reports of your divorce. Zero Hedge is trending. This Zero Hedge, this is okay, so let me tell you what Zero Hedge is. Earlier today when I was ranting about the superpower thing and I was talking about all of these people on social media who have flags behind them and, they talk about Patriot first, God, all that kind of stuff. These people are believing propaganda that is being fed to them by groups with agendas, guests who are trying to sell books on OAN and all that kind of thing. And when you are willing to believe when you are more willing to believe something that you already think, that's a dangerous concoction, because now people can spoon feed you whatever kind of bullshit you want to believe, and they can make money off you, and they can use you as like a useful idiot, as they say in the old Soviet days. So, U.S. accuses financial website of spreading Russian propaganda. This is exactly what I'm talking about. So there is this, I'll just read you the story because you don't need me to spell. It's complicated and it needs to be done right. U.S. intelligence officials on Tuesday accused a conservative financial news website with a significant American readership of amplifying Kremlin propaganda, and alleged 5 media outlets targeting Ukrainians have taken direction from Russian spies. The official said Zero Hedge, which has 1.2 million Twitter followers, published articles created entirely by Moscow-controlled media that were then shared by other outlets and people unaware of their nexus to Russian intelligence. The officials did not say whether they thought. Now, this is a conservative financial news site. The article, I don't have to read the whole thing, but it goes on to talk about how their people go regularly on OAN, American News First, Newsmax, all of these new alternative sites for news. These people are Russian spies. These people are being funded by the Kremlin to go on these American television or these American news streaming service and tell all of you red hats with your, I ain't getting fact, to tell all of you stuff about Russia. Not even about Russia, but news stories that always seem to make Russia look good. And that's why all of these supposed American patriots with the flags and their emojis and their Christian God-fearing patriot, that's why all these people are like, but wait, Russia's our friend, No, they're not. This is all disinformation. This is all propaganda meant to divide us. Stop it. We are on the verge of what could potentially be World War III, and half of the people in this country are about to join the Russian military because Biden. Fuck. You people need to take a stand. You people need to decide whether or not you're actually an American or you're just some useful idiot. All right. So U.S. intelligence officials have now accused this financial news services, and they're doing this this whole thing. It's going to be an investigation. They're going to look into their stuff. They're going to stop them from being able to do business in America. And half of you people are going to go, well, I don't believe American intelligence. I would rather believe Russian propaganda. Do you see how you're between a rock and a hard place? This is not a right or a left issue. This is an American issue. This is an issue that concerns all of us that are in the middle, not you fucking weirdos on the right and not you fucking weirdos on the left. This is about the rest of us. This is about the rest of us trying to deal with a situation that could get really out of hand. I am telling you, if you're one of these right people who think, well, Putin's our friend because Trump liked him, you're a traitor. You are a traitor to this company. Putin is not a friend. Putin was in charge of the KGB when the Soviet Union fell. If you don't think that Putin has a severe hatred for the West and a severe hatred for us, then you're just a dummy and stop talking politics. Go back to talking sports, you moron. Oh, that's right. You're not allowed to watch the NFL anymore. Woo, Pugs is salty today. Woohoo! My God. It's not a right issue. It's not a left issue. Goddamn, you either love this country and you're willing to stand up and fight for it with all of its flaws. You just believe American intelligence? Yes. Not always, but yes. What other choice do we have? Well, you can believe the guy on OAN. Yeah, fuck you, you dummy. I'm not going to believe it. The guy whose business is fully funded by the Russian propaganda arm? Well, that's what U.S. intelligence says. Yeah, because oddly enough, all they do is promote how cool Russian intelligence is. Well, that's because Russian intelligence is cool, and Russia is cool, and they just want to be out. Shut the fuck up. I'm swearing. I'm angry when I'm swearing. And I am not being political. If I was being political, I would talk about all of the news concerning the former president. I would talk about all of this. I'm not. And there's a lot concerning accounting firms. And, I've mentioned the Durham report. I'm not talking about anything. I'm not talking right. I'm not talking left. At this point, I'm talking about the fact that we could all, a month from now, be looking at World War III. And there's a lot of crazy people out there with nukes. Crazy ass Russians. They got nukes all over the place. They just started selling them for cab fare back in the 90s. I want to go to Europe. As soon as I start making money again, I want to take my son to Europe. And I'm telling you, I'm not taking him to Europe if we're... You don't want to take him to Europe. You want to take him to Ireland and England. That's Europe, technically. You're not taking your kid to Czechoslovakia. What's going on with you? Spinning out of control. All right, that's why Zero Hedge is is trending. Virgin Galactic. Oh, this is a fun story. Virgin Galactic. What's his name? Branson. What I forgot his name. Let's call him Glenn. Glenn Branson. Whatever. The Virgin guy. Richard. It's Richard Branson. Okay. Richard Branson's company, Virgin Galactic, is looking for deep-pocketed passengers to carry him to the edge of space. So remember, you got here. You got Elon Musk and his SpaceX. Now he's doing rocket stuff. But his whole deal is he is creating a delivery system for bringing satellites and astronauts to space stations and all that kind of stuff. Then you got Branson, who's got Virgin Galactic. He's doing space tourism. It's a whole different thing. Branson has like the space plane, or he just wants to take people on. He's got Virgin Airlines, right? So he's in that space already, and he's like, let's just go into outer space. Why don't we take people? So his whole deal is that he didn't want to deliver satellites. He doesn't want to operate, a multi-billion-dollar pickup truck service. That's not what he wants to do. That's more what Elon Musk and SpaceX is doing. Branson wants just, people to go for rides into space, which is kind of nice, and I would like to do it. And they have begun taking reservations. That's right, Virgin Galactic, they are ready to go. If you watch Richard Branson's participation in the Billionaires in Space race and thought, I want that to be me, and have an extra $500,000 kicking around, then your time has come. Virgin Galactic is opening up space flight ticket reservations to the general public starting Wednesday. Hey, if anybody wants to give me a gift. Actually, you know what? If you're going to buy me a $500,000 Virgin Galactic gift, I'll tell you what, I'll make a deal with you. You keep like 499.9 thousand of that, and drop $100 in the tip jar. That would be a good one. Go Frank Sinatra on me. Give me a nice $100 tip. That would be good. I don't want to. I'll tell you what. Look, do I seem like the kind of guy that wants to go for a spacey flight on like the first couple of flights? I talk every day about different plane crashes because I don't believe they work the bugs out of commercial normal plane flights until around the year 2000. So if you think that I have any interest in being on one of the first 1,000 flights that go into, you are wrong, my friend. There are people are going to die. It's going to be raining dead people from the heavens. Shit's going to go wrong here. This is not going to go off perfectly. They are working the bugs out. So no, thank you. We plan to have our first 1,000 customers on board at the start of commercial service later this year. Nope, not me. And I want to go. I want to go to space. I absolutely do. That's something that I definitely would love to be a part of. But not in the first. No, you know what I'm saying. It'd be like flying from New York to California in 1940. No. I knowing what I know now about how planes crashed all the time back then, hell no. We plan to have our first 1,000 customers on board at the start of commercial service later this year, providing an incredibly strong foundation as we begin regular operations and scale out our fleet. Your fleet? You got more than one of these planes? You got more than one? You think you got? Why don't we just focus on one? Why don't we perfect one? All right. That's what's going on. So there you go. Starting Wednesday, it's going to be like $460,000 per seat. Yeah, that's per seat. I bet the leg room sucks, and it doesn't include Wi-Fi, and you'll have to buy your headphones. That's why Virgin Galactic is trending. All right, let's see. What else do we have happening today? This is a sad one. This is such a rough story. So free agent baseball pitcher Matt Harvey has been named and called to testify in the Tyler Skaggs death trial. We all remember Tyler Skaggs, right? Tyler's back in 2009. 4th of July weekend. Yeah, it was 4th of July weekend, 2019. Tyler Skaggs, pitcher for the California Angels, was found dead in his hotel room in South Lake. Turns out he was doing drugs. Turns out the people involved in the Angels organization gave him the drugs. Turns out that it was fentanyl. That one of the drugs that he did had the synthetic opioid fentanyl in it because that's easier to come by than real opioids, and that's why everybody's dropping dead. And Matt Harvey is being called to testify in the trial of Eric Kay. Eric Kay was, I want to say, the communications director of the California Angels, who was being charged with giving Skaggs the pills. Kay was a recovering addict himself and an alcoholic. And I guess Tyler Skaggs and him had a little thing where he was only for professional purposes was this Eric Kay guy in rehab and in recovery. He was now just doing his drugs on the down low, still doing it, as is the case with a lot of people. You hear somebody dies of a drug overdose, and you're like, didn't they go to rehab 10 years? Didn't that dude write books about how clean and sober he is? And yeah, it doesn't always stick. There are a lot of people who are drug addicts, are people who are addicted to drugs, who really need drugs. They are very good at hiding it. And once they go through rehab a couple of times, they become very adept at doing all the right things publicly and when around family and friends, and then they still do their drugs. So apparently that was the case. Tyler Skaggs, and this is sad. This is not like, not that, drug. Okay, well, let's talk about the bigger issue of the opioid problem in this country, which, by the way, is almost entirely an American thing. We've talked about that before. The opioid epidemic, where people are just dying from this stuff, becoming addicted and ruining their lives. This isn't happening in Germany. It's not happening. It's happening here because, well, we make money off of pills that we sell and we advertise them on TV. Ask your doctor. The 3 most insidious words ever dropped into a television commercial. Ask your doctor. You wouldn't know to ask your doctor about these potentially dangerous and addictive pills if they hadn't shown you a commercial of beautiful people flying a kite in a field. Ask your doctor. It used to be your doctor used his, but hey, if patients come in and the pharmaceutical company is giving me trips to Tijuana because I've moved so much of their pills, ask your doctor. Because it might be, for a doctor, it might be a little bit unethical for them to just start pushing these pills because they want to get that trip to Tijuana that the pharmaceutical company is putting on. But if the pharmaceutical company is running commercials where their people are encouraged to ask your doctor, then it's not nearly as unethical for the doctor because, hey, the patient asked for it. And okay, if they're in pain and they know what this is, who am I? So that's what happened. Tyler Skaggs, the pitcher, was not some junkie looking for a ride. He had Tommy John surgery. He was hanging on to a baseball career. He was not addicted because he was a party boy. He was addicted because of all the surgeries that he had. And we see this a lot with athletes. I mean, the injuries, the surgeries, the broken bones, the torn ligaments, all of that stuff. That shit hurts, man. That shit really hurts. And if your doctor's going to give you something that makes it not hurt, and oh my God, you mean I can actually still perform because my body isn't recognizing this pain? That's what's happening here. That's what happened. But too many people are using opioids. So what happened was it became more and more difficult to actually get these pills. It became more and more difficult to get actual organic opioids, right? So fentanyl was created. Fentanyl was discovered to have been something that was could be used and was more easily accessible. So now, when you've been addicted to these pills for 3 years and you can't get them because your doctor won't give them to you anymore because the U.S. government or federal FDA or whatever is now cracking down on how many prescriptions you could have. Oh, now you got to turn to drug dealers. And the drug dealers, they're having difficulty getting real opioids. They're having opium or whatever it is that they use to make these pills out of. So they discovered this way to cheat the system. And the way to cheat the system is to use this thing called fentanyl. And so half the pills that you're taking now, when you think that you're taking a pure opioid for whatever your addiction is, it's actually something that is 100 times stronger than heroin. And if they don't get the mix right and you take that pill, you die. And that is what's happening with all of these people that we're seeing dropping dead. This is not, and honestly, like I say, we used to have a drug problem in this country because there were certain people who just like to do drugs, man. I just like to party. I just like, hey, man, I'm just kind of lazy and I don't want to work, so I'm going to become a junkie and I'm going to do my art. That used to be the thing. And when those people dropped dead, a lot of people would just be like, well, that's what happens with a junkie. That's not who these people are. That's not who the people who are dropping dead from coast to coast and have been for 20 years now in this country since Ask Your Doctor was instituted. These people are people recovering from surgeries. These people are people who have legitimate pain that they're trying to manage. And their doctors and the pharmaceutical companies have completely gotten them strung out on these. Man, watch Dope Sick. What am I doing here? Why am I explaining this to you? Go watch Dope Sick. That freaking the Sackler family, I'm telling you, what we should do is don't make threats on YouTube. Don't make threats on YouTube. The Sackler family should be held responsible. Let me channel Malcolm X. By any means necessary. That was kind of a threat. Yeah, but I'm not going to do anything. What am I going to do? I have no influence. I'm not going to Tyler Skaggs, just so you remember what happened. On June 30th, 2019, Skaggs texted Eric K. Eric K is the guy that's on trial. Skaggs texted Eric K., the communications director for the Angels, asking for painkillers. That night, Skaggs did not respond to his wife Carly's goodnight text, which she typically sent when he was on the road. The following day, Skaggs was found dead. Following day, Skaggs was found unresponsive in his hotel room in Southlake, Texas. He was pronounced dead at around 2:18 p.m. when authorities arrived at the scene. Investigators discovered a number of pills in Skaggs' hotel room, including a 30 milligram oxycodone pill, additional 5 milligram oxycodone pills, several anti-inflammatories, and white powder on the floor. The wife, are we doing cocaine too? What do you thought it was a party guy? No. Most of these people, they take their pills and they crush them up into a powder and then they snort them because that's how you get the pills to work faster. That's how, when you take a pill and it goes into your stomach has to dissolve the pill and then put it into your blood system. That takes a little bit of while. So when you're in pain or when you're really jonesing, the best way to deliver the drug directly into your system and to have the effects and feel them instantly is to crush them up and sniff them. Just the way they do it. You can also smoke them. People do that as well. Inhaling them directly into your lungs, that's also. But a pill is coated with a little bit of something and it puts it in your stomach and then your stomach dissolves it. And over the course of time, you start to feel the effects. So that's what the powder was. There's also a report that came out yesterday that said that people had seen him take his pills this way. It's not uncommon. It's not like, well, he did it this way and it's weird. No, a lot of people do it that way. People who are in a lot of pain, who understand the delivery methods of these pills, they will crush them up and snort them. That's just how it's done. So I've heard. I do not like pills. I am so thankful that I don't even like booze, man. I like weed. I like weed, and I like to smoke weed and watch TV. I don't even get to do that anymore. Oh, I like Valium. I like Valium too. Valium is good. Valium, if I had a prescription for Valium, I like Ambien. I like Ambien too. But none of these are opioids. None of these are, I'm never going to, opioid. First of all, like a lot of painkillers, which sucks, which is why I avoid pain at all costs. And I suggest you do the same. I think I'm slightly allergic to them because if I take an opioid, I get itchy and my whole body feels like they're crawling with ants. So I just don't like them. No, thank you. I remember I had some dental work done a couple of years ago, and they said, well, we're going to give you a prescription for pain. And I was like, nah, I'm fine. I got this. Because I had weed. I smoked weed. And it relaxed me. And I took a couple of ibuprofen and it was fine. I didn't need whatever it was that my dentist was pushing me for the pain. That was fine. Let's see here. Okay, so Skaggs hotel room, they found 30 milligram oxycodone pill, codone pill, additional 5 milligrams of oxycodone pills, several anti-inflammatories because he was in pain and his muscles were, and white powder on the floor. The Angels had been in Arlington, Texas to play a 4-game series against the Rangers, and Skaggs was scheduled to start the 4th of July game. Upon news of his death, both teams agreed to postpone the start of the series, which had been scheduled for later that day. The initial statement issued by the South Lake Police Department said that neither suicide nor foul play was suspected. The Tarrant County Medical Examiner began conducting an autopsy on July the 2nd and estimated that it would determine a cause of death by October 2nd, 2019. On August 30th, the medical examiner announced that the autopsy had uncovered a mix of fentanyl, oxycodone, and alcohol in Skaggs' system, and that he had a blood alcohol level of 0.12. The examination concluded that Skaggs had died of asphyxia after aspirating on his own vomit. So he choked on his own vomit. That's how he died. And they determined that fentanyl, a synthetic opioid, 30 to 50 times more potent than heroin. What did I say, 100? Okay, so I overstated it, but still. They determined that fentanyl, a synthetic opioid 30 to 50 times more potent than heroin, was the primary contributor to Skaggs' death and that he likely would have survived if not for the substance. Man, this stuff is dangerous. I mean, remember just back in October, there was a big house party in LA with a bunch of stand-up comedians, and somebody brought some drugs, and everybody died. Like 5 up-and-coming young stand-up comedians, dead, right there. And one of the girls who was one of the comedians, unfortunately, I didn't keep up with it, but she was like brain dead in the hospital. She was in a coma. She was like, I'm telling you, man, I talk with my kid. My kid is 12 years old. I talk with my kid all the time about drugs. He can tell me anything. Oh, you're such a good parent. No, I'm really not. But I mean, I do have these awkward conversations. I love to live in the awkward with my kid, so I will have very awkward conversations with him. And honestly, over the course of time, it's not awkward anymore because he's totally comfortable talking to me about these kinds of things because I've always talked to him about awkward things. Talked to him about, I know stuff about him and his girlfriend. I know all kinds of, I know. He tells me, he's comfortable telling me because he knows that, I'm sure he's not telling me everything, but you know what I mean? All right, let's keep moving. We're going to have a big talk about drugs, though. I mean, we've had little talks about drugs, but man, I'm telling you, he can't do pills. He can't do pills. Dude, I will buy you weed. Seriously, I will buy you weed if you just don't do pills. If you just don't sniff anything. If you just don't inject anything. And if you just don't pop anything. I'll buy you beer. I'll run out to... Pugs is admitting he's going to buy beer for 12-year-olds. No. That is not what I'm admitting. I'm just saying. Novak Djokovic is trending because, Novak Djokovic, he couldn't play in the Australian Open. It was a whole thing, a whole to-do. He refuses to get vaxxed, and all the countries that are holding the major tennis tournaments are requiring that their athletes be vaxxed, and everybody else is being vaxxed. And Novak Djokovic says, I have no problem with being vaxxed, but he's not going to do it. At this point, it is now a stalemate. So what that means is that Novak Djokovic is not going to appear in any of the big tournaments that are coming up unless he changes his mind. I mean, Wimbledon's in July, right? So it's February. So he can take any stance he wants in February. But, he's got plenty of time to get his vaccine if he wants to play at Wimbledon. He's not going to play at the U.S. Open. He's not going to. So in an interview with the BBC, to be broadcast Tuesday evening, tennis player Novak Djokovic is reported to have said that he is not vaccinated against COVID-19 and is keeping his mind open about a best possible solution to end his COVID situation, but is currently willing to miss out on all tournaments over the current vaccine requirements. He's taking a stand. He's taking a stand, and here's what's at stake for him. Novak Djokovic is on the verge of being the greatest men's tennis player in history. He is going. He's already missed the Australian Open, right? And didn't he miss the French Open too? Was that the two that he missed? I think. Those are majors, and you have to win majors if you want to be considered the greatest of all time. He could be missing out on an entire year of majors taking the stand. Hell, he might miss out on next year's majors too if he takes the stand. And when his career is over and he's not in the top 5 and he's not even in the conversation with Federer about being, who's the greatest of all time, Nadal, Federer, they may not even mention Djokovic because he's got this huge gap when he was the world's number 1 ranked male tennis player and he could have been out there racking up some majors. So there's a lot at stake for this dude as far as his legacy goes and all of that. It's not about money. Dude's already super rich. Let's see here. What else do we have? Okay. Kamila Valieva, the Russian, some Winter Olympics news. Kamila Valieva is trending. She is the Russian teenage figure skater who popped hot for performance-enhancing drugs. And the International Olympic Committee decided, okay, that's fine. I know. And even though they kicked this American sprinter out of the games last summer because she had weed in her system, she was not allowed to compete because she had weed in her system, which is not a performance-enhancing drug. But this little Russian girl who's a figure skater and she's really good at figure skating, she's going to be allowed to continue. But here's the deal. So she can compete, even though we know she's on performance-enhancing drugs. But if she wins, there's not going to be a medal ceremony. If she wins, we're just not gonna. We're not gonna put her up on the podium, and she'll get the medal. Like the medal will be in her suitcase when she gets on her plane back to Moscow. But we're not going to put her up. Think about that. You train your entire life. You're a figure skater. And you are now knowingly competing against somebody who's already a good figure skater, who is using performance-enhancing drugs, and the governing body of the sport that you're competing in is like, yeah, she's got an advantage, but don't worry, she won't be up on the podium. But so what? She could still win. What do you mean she could still win? Is she that good? She's currently leading the short program. That's the problem. She is currently in first place, and everybody knows she's on performance-enhancing drugs, but she's going to be allowed. That's not fair. That's just not. That's especially when you consider the fate of the American sprinter who was kicked out of the Olympics because she had a little weed in her system. What, she didn't train her entire life the way that this little Russian girl trained her. This is madness. I honestly, I struggle. I mean, possibly FIFA. I'm struggling to think of an organization's governing body that is just so publicly corrupt, or as publicly corrupt as the International Olympic Committee. FIFA, maybe. That would be it. I don't know. The NFL owners are pretty bad too, but not even in this league. This is a whole nother. All right, here we got some fun with video. This was sent to me. This isn't even trending, but it is something that I wanted to see. Okay, so a dude. This is fun. You'll enjoy this. This was almost our moment of joy, and then I went, you know what? I don't know that this is a moment of joy as much as this is just something that deserves its own little category. We'll call this a new segment. We're going to call this the Ugly American segment. All right, so here's what we got. Let me run this down for you. Here's the story. So this dude went to Thailand, right? The American dude traveling to Thailand. And he's in the streets and he's partying. Woo! All right, first of all, don't go to Thailand. Don't unless you are like a world contending kickboxer. And you're going there to train with some of the great kickboxers in the world. Don't go to Thailand. If you've got a neighbor, the guy who lives on your block and he lives alone and he's in his like mid 50s and he just goes to Thailand every couple of years, yeah, it's not a good look. If you do go to Thailand, go with your wife. Go with your wife and bring a camera and go for the beautiful scenery and all that kind of stuff, because there's just, we know what single dudes go to Thailand for. Ugh. I mean, come on, man. That's why don't even, if you're going to Thailand and you're excited and you're like a single dude, he's like, I'm going to Thailand. Don't say that publicly, because most people are just going to go, what the fuck is this guy going to Thailand for by himself? First of all, you shouldn't even go on vacation by yourself. Although I do understand how you can go on vacation by yourself, because I'm a loner and I would actually, I've thought about this a lot. I'm like, man, I would totally go on vacation by myself. But now I got a kid. And so now I think, you know what? I'd rather bring my kid. I'd rather, any place I go from this point forward, I want to bring my kid. We'll have some fun. But if you're like a dude and you're traveling to Southeast Asia by yourself, and you're not married, and you just, all right, so here's this dude. So here's an American guy. He goes to Thailand and he just starts behaving like the ugly American. And he decides he's going to just start groping Thailand girls on the street because they're just animals. I'm an American. I'm an actual human being. These people here, they're like less than me. So I can just behave in any way I want. So, remember what I said about Thailand having some of the most skilled martial artists on the planet? Okay, so this guy just gropes this Thai girl on the street, and let's see what happens. I'm telling you, this is like the scene from Kill Bill. Remember the girls? What are they, like the 5 deadly snakes or the 5 vipers or whatever they are? Watch this. This is awesome. Are you gropes her? He grabs her boob. Ooh, punch in the face. Ooh, body kick, knocks him down. Oh, he punches her. Oh, now her friend's in there. Oh, and now he takes one right to the face, another one right to the face. Oh, Legs is just beating her stuff. Oh, now listen to him. You think he's hurt? Listen to him. Anywhere, you piece of shit. Yeah, go get your flip-flop. This guy's like, get out of here, you piece of garbage. All right, let's watch this. All right, so he walks up behind this girl on the street and grabs her boobs. She responds by kicking him. Look at Legs. I like Legs. He thinks he's safe here because he's in safe. Boom! Legs gets him right in the face. Another one right in the face. Another one right in the face. There's some eye damage here. He feels it. You got what you deserved, you pig. You piece of garbage. I'm telling you, man. Don't go to Thailand and start fucking with people. Have you ever seen the movie Kickboxer? Or Kickboxer 2? Or any of those movies that take place in Thailand where it talks about, how they're just like from the moment they're born, they're taught how to use their feet like weapons? I don't know. That's Hollywood. How's my scar looking? It's not a scar. Oh, it's so tender to the touch. It hurts. It hurts, but it's not bleeding. I was worried. If you were joining us earlier today, you probably heard me tell about how I ripped my head open this morning. On this thing right here, see this little edge here? This is glass. This is just a crank, and it's super. And I ripped my head open. And it was bleeding really bad, and I thought I was going to have to go to the hospital. I thought I was going to need a couple stitches. That's only like 1, 2, maybe 3 stitches, maybe 2 stitches, whatever. I thought it was going to be a problem. And then I was worried because I got it to stop bleeding. I put a little of this like goo on it. You use super glue. Just tell people you put super glue on your head. No, it's not super glue. It's this stuff. I bought this, like, my kid tends to cut himself a lot. So I went to the store once about 6 months ago and bought all of these kinds of first aid things. It's like a little goo that you put on it, and it's supposed to like create a little bit of a, at any rate, I didn't need stitches, but I was worried that during today's show that I would go, yeah, I'd be like getting all, and it would like either pop open or it would start to bleed, but we're good. We are good. Okay, also trending today. Here we go. Look at this. Cody and Brandy are trending. Who are Cody and Brandy, Pugs? I don't know. They're wrestlers. Cody Rhodes is leaving AEW in what is being described as a shock move. No word on whether his wife and partner Brandy is going with him. So I don't know what that means. Apparently they're saying he's gonna return to WWE. He was one of the higher ups within the AEW, which is another wrestling organization, another one of the big ones. And he just left, and he left on good terms. Nobody's angry at each other. It seems to be all very friendly. But there you go. So that's big news in the wrestling world, and wrestling stuff that trends. Woo, that stuff, boy, something happens in wrestling, that stuff trends. Also, Chip and Dale. You know, Chip and Dale, the Rescue Rangers. They are trending because there is a new. Here we go. There's a now. I normally wouldn't show this, but I actually ended up watching the trailer. So let's watch the trailer for this. This is the new Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers movie. Now, Pugs, why are you showing a kids animated feature trailer? Oh, that's what I would have said too before I watched the trailer. But here's the deal. It's John Mulaney and Adam Sandler. No. It's John Mulaney and Andy Samberg. Okay? All right. They are playing Chip and Dale, the Rescue Rangers, and it's directed and created by The Lonely Island, which is Andy Samberg's group of creatives, all of his buddies from growing up. They make Dick in a Box, the Saturday Night Live funny videos that started this new trend where every week now there's a funny video. Well, it used to just be The Lonely Island. They would produce something for Saturday Night Live every couple of weeks. What was the one, the Natalie Portman one, where she was like a hip hop thug, and then there was the Chronicles of Narnia one that they did. Dick in the Box is probably the most famous one. So Lonely Island, whenever Lonely Island does something, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to check this out. This could be interesting. Lonely Island does really cool, really funny stuff. So let's watch this. I watched the trailer. I've already seen it, but I thought maybe you guys would like to see it as well. Here it is. This is the new trailer for the Chip and Dale Rescue Ranger movie starring Andy Samberg and John Mulaney and created by The Lonely Island. Here we go.
Real Hollywood story.
Okay.
Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, the show that defined a generation and turned two unknown chipmunks into international superstars. But as success took Chip and Dale to new heights,
to many more seasons of the Rescue Rangers.
We were living the dream, dancing the Roger Rabbit with Roger Rabbit.
no one ever imagined it could all come crashing down. Torn by vanity.
You look different.
Hey, it's no secret I had the CGI surgery done.
Consumed by temptation.
My love of cheese got the best of me. I just love it so much.
More, please. More, please.
Is it possible that two living legends are destined to reunite?
I'm thinking reboot.
Nobody wants a reboot.
It's the Rescue Rangers!
You need a disguise or something. Grab the first thing you can. What? Rescue Rangers 2.0.
All right, there you have it. Now,
Weird.
Remember that animation style where everything looked real but nothing looked right?
Who are you?
oh man, wait a second. Did I stop sharing it? I sure did. Damn it. That's all right. I thought it was over. Here, because there's the funny stuff here. Okay, here we go. We'll go back to it. Right. All right. Here we go. Sorry. Not restarting, but picking up from where I accidentally X'd out.
The This place looks weird.
Remember that animation style where everything looked real, but nothing looked right?
Who are you?
Are you talking to us?
Obviously.
But it looks like you're talking to that window.
It actually looks like I'm looking right at you. Okay. Look at my eyes, looking right at your eyes.
Yeah.
All right. Look at that cast. Did you see that cast? Will Arnett, Seth Rogen. Well, who else was in this? I'm telling you, man. John Mulaney, Andy Samberg, Will Arnett, Eric Banya, Keegan-Michael Key, Seth Rogen, J.K. Simmons. And I don't know who Kiki Lane is. But there you go. I was, so I used to kind of like the Rescue Rangers. I thought they were funny to begin with. But if you're going to put John Mulaney and Andy Samberg and you're going to have the Lonely Island creating this, I'm going to see it. I will not be seeing it. That seems like my kid now. Like whenever I try to get him, because there's certain like animation things that I like to watch, and it used to be I had a little kid that I could watch them with. So I got to watch all the Toy Stories and all the Shreks and all of that stuff because he was 5. He was Up. Oh my God, I love Up. You know what one of my favorite is? And nobody ever talks about this one, but have you guys ever seen Romeo and Juliet? Oh my God, do we love Romeo and Juliet when he was 4. So occasionally I'm like, hey man, we should watch Romeo and Juliet. He's like, yeah, that's a baby's movie, Dad. I'm like, I don't care. It's good. It's fun. Yeah, I don't want to watch that. Can we watch Goodfellas again? I hate who you've become. You've become this person who is... So I think this is a movie. I'm excited because I think this is a movie that my kid will actually watch with me because it looks like it's got a bit of an edge because it's Lonely Island and it's John Mulaney and he does lots of drugs, don't you know? So it's got to have a bit of an edge. There you go. That's why. That's why the Rescue Rangers, Chip and Dale, are trending. Okay, so here we go. No, okay. You know what? I'll do a couple more. We'll keep going. I may not have all that much time to do the backstage. Why do I say Simons and not Simmons? Adam, you're right. Because I always get that wrong, and I'll tell you exactly why. I grew up with a family of Simons, actually Simonses, and that's what we call them. And they spelt it the way it's Simmons, right? Or they pronounced it. Oh no, it was spelt with the 2 M's, but they pronounce their names, so I'm all screwed up in that regard. I same problem with like Bill Simonson, Bill Simonson. I just like, thank you for pointing it out. You're absolutely right, and I do. I get that wrong all the time. Speaking of something else that I got wrong, that I wanted to, I'm gonna freaking kill this dog. Can you hear her? All right, take a quick break. I gotta get the dog inside. This is, they're gonna call the police. And I'm gonna have to explain that he's not my dog. I don't know whose dog he is. No, but don't take him away. I'll wait for the owner to come back. Get in here right now. Go lay down. You are no fun to be with. Do not follow me. You go back in. You go lay down. I'm going to do that thing where I just don't hit the camera. Get out of here. You know the drill. Go lay down. There you go. There you go. Good girl. Good, terrible girl. Sorry about that. So as I was saying, that's my blanket. I was sitting on my blanket. The last couple of days we've been talking about Mickey Guyton. I don't know, Adam, am I pronouncing that correctly? Mickey Guyton is she's from Arlington. She sang the national anthem. And James Parker and I, until last night, we thought it was a dude. Here's what I knew. Country music from Arlington, name is Mickey. I went to like a Mickey Gilly type, so I didn't know who it was. So I just imagined some dude in a cowboy hat and one of them Western shirts, singing about beer and pickup trucks, and he was going to do the national anthem. And I thought, okay. Then turns out Mickey Guyton is a girl. It's the feminine Mickey. And last night I was describing Mickey Guyton. I'm like, yeah, man, when I saw her on the Super Bowl, they showed her and I was like, I had no idea that she was like Asian mixed with maybe Hispanic. I didn't know. I thought she was a guy. And then people in the chat room were like, dude, she's black. Who are you describing? Well, it's because NBC screwed up. NBC during the Super Bowl, they mislabeled Mickey Guyton as somebody else, this Asian girl who sang God Bless America. They showed her singing God Bless America, and NBC put up the banner of Mickey Guyton. And, it was an Asian girl. It was a girl who was Asian. So I'm like, oh, wow. So Mickey Guyton is not a dude. Mickey Guyton is actually a young woman. Okay, and she's Asian. No, she's not Asian either. My knowledge, I have no idea what the hell. I actually had to look up Mickey Guyton, and she matched the person that sang the national anthem, and that was a black girl. But NBC screwed it up. NBC is apologizing for mixing up. Okay, here we go. Here's the story. NBC apologizes for mixing up Mickey Guyton and Janae Aiko, Aiko, whatever, Japanese kind of name. The network angered many fans online by briefly misidentifying breakout country singer Guyton as Aiko during the broadcast. So that's why last night I said, I didn't know she was Asian. And some of you in the chat room were like, she's not Asian, stupid. She's a black girl. And now I see she's a beautiful black girl, from Arlington, Texas. I actually even pulled up her Wikipedia page to learn about her because I don't want to be behind the curveball when it comes to Mickey Guyton anymore. She is a unique person in the world of Nashville country music because, well, she is a black girl. But also her style is described as traditional country and Western meets modern R&B. That is a recipe for a crossover that if I have ever heard one. All right, so there you go. There's my Mickey Guyton apology. Okay, Belgium is the latest country to adopt the 4-day work week. These are coming, people. The 4-day work week is going to be, I don't know if it'll ever come to America, because honestly, 30 years ago or 40 years ago when Belgium had universal health care, I probably would have said if I was streaming, well, we are going to have this too soon. So who knows? We may just continue to have people working 5 days. We'll be paid less. But a whole bunch of countries around the world are moving to the 4-day work week. Automation, as you know, well, first of all, we realized in the last 2 years that we don't need offices anymore. Anything that you need someone to do, they can do it from home with a computer. They can do all their work from home. Scotland has a 4-day work week. Spain has a 4-day work week. Japan has a 4-day work week. Iceland has a 4-day work week. The United Arab Emirates has a 4-day work week. 4-day work week. And here is this I'm trying to see, is this America? I guess there's a 4-day work week bill here in America too. Here, so we'll tell you what it's about. It's actually they frame it like it's for the benefit of the citizens, you know, so that it's good. It's just a good thing for the human beings to have, you know, the 4-day work week, and the 8-hour workday goes away. The 8-hour workday now becomes a 9.5-hour workday. So they're not losing. You're not going to supposedly well, at least in these countries that are named. They don't reduce your pay. They pay you the same amount of money. You just work 4 days a week. To enhance the equity of the lives of Belgian workers, the European country previously announced that thousands of federal civil servants will no longer have to answer calls or emails from their bosses outside of working hours. Around 65,000 government workers earned the right to disconnect in hopes of leading a better work-life balance. Now, in another employee empowerment policy, workers in Belgium will be entitled to a 4-day work week. The reform package agreed by the country's multi-party coalition government will also give workers the right to turn off work devices and ignore work-related messages after hours without fear of reprisal. Belgian Prime Minister Alexander De Croo told a press conference announcing the reform package, "We have experienced 2 difficult years. With this agreement, we set a beacon for an economy that is more innovative, sustainable, and digital. The aim is to be able to make people and businesses stronger." Belgian Labor Minister Pierre-Yves Darmon said that the decision resides with the worker. This has to be done at the request of the employee, with the employer giving solid reasons for any possible refusal. So if you work in Belgium and you go in and you say, yeah, you know what, I want to have Friday off or I want to have Monday off every week. You go in and you have to request this of your employer, and your employer has to grant it. It's the law of the land. But if you want to keep working the 5-day work week, you can. Employees would be able to request a 4-day work week for a trial 6-month period. If they do so desire, they can then stay with the shortened work week or decide to opt out. The abbreviated work week is somewhat different compared to what other countries and companies have enacted. The countries and businesses stripped away 1 day of the work week without making people put in more hours during other 4 days. But with Belgium's program, it would condense the current 5-day work week into 4 days. In practice, this means maintaining at least a 38-hour working week with an additional day off, compensating for longer work days. Employees would work longer hours each of the 4 days that they are working. And it says like some of the other countries, like Scotland. Scotland has previously launched a trial 4-day work week. The decision was the culmination of a campaign promise made by the ruling Scottish National Party. Workers will have their hours reduced by 20%, but won't suffer any loss in compensation. American businesses ain't going to do that. That is, please. You think you get one congressman that's going to say, yeah, people can work less and don't worry, it's not good. The company's not. Our congressmen are all bought and paid for. Other countries, they're not. Other countries, they actually think about what's best for society, what's best for the individual. In Spain had announced that it would run a trial 4-day work week. See, here's the thing. What we're finding is that people... Oh, go ahead, Pugs. Explain about autonomy. Explain about how, robots and all that kind of stuff is doing shit that people used to do. So there's really no reason to have them sit there pushing papers in an office. There you go. This is it's boring anyway. But 4-day work week. Look it up on your own. That's why it's trending today. Do we have anything else? Oh, let's jump in. 2:21. We're waiting to see what... Old Sleepy Joe has to say. He's supposed to speak here in the next 9 minutes. Let's see if there's anything new trending since we signed on today. I will go to, I'm going to go to Twitter because that's the most easily accessible. And here we go. Okay. Anything new trending on Twitter? Remington is trending because of the Sandy Hook thing. We talked about that. Prince Andrew, we talked about that. There's some soccer thing going on in Madrid. Chip and Dale, we talked about that. Cody Rhodes, we talked about that. He's the wrestler. More college basketball. PJ O'Rourke is trending. Why is PJ O'Rourke trending? What did he do now? What? Oh, wow. PJ O'Rourke is dead. Okay. It would be very like PJ O'Rourke to not be dead right now, though. Huh. Okay, so there seems to be some... Okay, blue check. PG O'Rourke was one of the few fun conservatives in D.C. when I was young. A brilliant writer. Rest in peace. Okay, so there's some people are saying no, it's a different PG O'Rourke. Some people are saying in they're doing the rest in peace PG O'Rourke. That's terrible. That's terrible. I always liked him. Rolling Stone writer. He was sort of the conservative nerd inside Rolling Stone. legendary fights with a lot of the other Rolling Stone writers over the years. He was a regular on Politically Incorrect back in the day. It is, I'll put it this way, it is very possible that P.J. O'Rourke is dead because there are a number of blue checks who are saying that he's dead. But then there are other people saying, we don't have any real confirmation. So okay. So that is terrible. I'm not going to talk about Trump's accounting firm. I'm not going to talk about Rudy and January 6th. I'm not going to talk about, I'm not doing any of that. I'm not doing any of that. Okay. So we're good. That'll do it. Let's, Jennifer, I'm not going to talk about Sarah Palin. The judge in the Sarah Palin case, the jury had retired to consider a verdict. And while the jury was retired, the judge said, yeah, you know what? Regardless of what the jury says, Palin, you lose. This is a stupid case, and I am not going to allow the verdict to come from the jury that says that you were right. It was a very odd move. Very odd move. The judge basically, and I think, I don't know if the jury was suspended or what, but in the middle of jury deliberations, the judge in the Sarah Palin New York Times case said, you know what? There is no way that you people, Sarah Palin, there's no way that you people proved your case. This has gone too far. I'm going to step in. It was highly unorthodox, but is something that is done from time to time. Okay, let me jump in. Let's see what we're talking about here in the chat room. Again, happy belated Valentine's Day. Oh, Jennifer, happy belated Valentine's Day to you. But don't give up. Look, you guys, I will put something on Facebook and on Twitter if I am not going to show up for the show. The show occasionally will be 5 minutes late. Like today, I had to reboot the entire internet system. Okay, let's keep going. I will. April says, I will only remember Jane Seymour from Wedding Crashers. It's Jane Seymour's birthday, and I was talking about how when I met her in person for an interview, she was just so staggeringly beautiful. So unbelievably beautiful. I was shocked. I mean, I knew she was a pretty woman, but when you see somebody like that in person and you're like, holy cow, this person has no idea how much a door weighs. She has never had to open a door for herself. Just men falling all over themselves. Oh, look at her. Here she comes. Jeff says, I was a biology major in the early 90s. I had to attend a genome seminar. I remember them talking about the goal of mapping the genome within the next 20 years. Yeah, it was on this day in 2001, I think, where it was they mapped the human genome. That became a thing today. What was this about? Mike Gross. Mike Gross says, a spoiled rich kid who becomes a comic. She is hard to take, but the rest are good. What was that in reference to? He's talking about Mrs. Maisel. Yeah, okay, because that's the character of Midge Maisel is a rich kid who decides to become a comic. Well, I got news for you. In real life, Rachel Brosnahan, who plays her, was a rich kid. She was from that rich part of Chicago. Another one of those. Highland Park High School grad. Father was genius. Whatever. Alex Borstein was in a show called Movie. We talked about that. Yep. Jeff says, we use smoked salmon on sushi rice. Okay, I was talking about my white trash sushi, which is just a very thinly sliced piece of cucumber with some of that crab meat on it, dipped in a soy sauce and wasabi combination. It's very good. Leslie 100% agrees with my rant on America being a superpower or not. Adam Rana, far be it for me to program your show, but I have zero interest to hear about this awful people. Your best friend Kim and Kanye are all trash. Well, you are absolutely right. You have no right to program my show. Although, if I'm going to ask you people, I need to stop that. That's a whole different kind of mindset that I have to get into. If you people are going to be the ones who are funding this show, and you can do that in any way you can, right down there with a tip to Venmo or PayPal or Cash App, I should absolutely be more considerate of whether or not you people want to hear about the ongoing story of Kanye. I do not, however, believe that Adam necessarily speaks for everyone. And I do find it to be a very interesting cultural phenomena that's going on right now. The obsession that we have. And honestly, if I'm sticking to what the show is about, this particular show is all about what is trending and what is being discussed the most. And if it's there, I'm going to do it. I have to talk about shit I want to talk about all the time just because it's trending. You wanted to talk about the wrestling dudes that left for WWE today? 4-day work week. I mean, yeah, sure, I pushed it all the way to the bottom, but if I'm going to talk about all the things that are trending, I got to stick to that. A lot of talk on pain meds. Adam says, I love morphine. I can see why it triggers something in people. Yeah, I don't, man. I do not like the effects of any sort of painkillers, whether it's the simple Tylenols or the codeines or the morphines or any of that stuff. I just don't. Thankfully, I don't have much need for it. I don't have chronic pain, and I've never had a major surgery that would have lingering pain like that. I mean, I've had broken bones and stuff, and that's honestly how I've learned. Biden's talking. Crap. Hold on.
So today I want to speak to the American people about the situation on the ground, the steps we've taken, the actions we're prepared to take.
Let's watch this together.
For us and the world, and how this may impact on us here at home.
Hold on. I'm going to pull it up for us.
Together with our allies and partners, my administration has engaged in non-stop diplomacy. This weekend I spoke again with President Putin to make clear that we are ready to keep pursuing high-level diplomacy, to reach written understandings among Russia, the United States, and the nations of Europe to address legitimate security concerns, if that's his wish. Their security concerns and ours. President Putin and I agreed that our team should continue to engage toward this end. Security concerns and ours. President Putin and I agreed that our team should continue to engage toward this end, along with our European allies and partners. Yesterday, the Russian government publicly proposed to continue the diplomacy. I agree. We should give the diplomacy every chance to succeed. And I believe there are real ways to address our respective security concerns. The United States has put on the table concrete ideas to establish a security environment in Europe. We're proposing new arms control measures, new transparency measures, new strategic stability measures. These measures would apply to all parties, NATO and Russia alike. We're willing to make practical, result-oriented steps that can advance our common security. We will not sacrifice basic principles, though. Nations have a right to sovereignty and territorial integrity. They have the freedom to set their own course and choose with whom they will associate. But that still leaves plenty of room for diplomacy and for de-escalation. That's the best way forward for all parties, in our view. We'll continue our diplomatic efforts in close consultation with our allies and our partners. As long as there is hope of diplomatic resolution that prevents the use of force and avoids incredible human suffering that would follow, we will pursue it. The Russian defense minister reported today that some military units are leaving their positions near Ukraine. That would be good, but we have not yet verified that. We have not yet verified the Russian military units are returning to their home bases. Indeed, our analysts indicate that they remain very much in a threatening position. And the fact remains, right now, Russia has more than 150,000 troops encircling Ukraine and Belarus and along Ukraine's border. An invasion remains distinctly possible. That's why I've asked several times that all Americans in Ukraine leave now before it's too late to leave safely. It is why we have temporarily relocated our embassy from Kyiv to Lviv in western Ukraine, approaching the Polish border. And we've been transparent with the American people and with the world about Russia's plans and the seriousness of the situation so that everyone can see for themselves what is happening. We've shared what we know and what we're doing about it. Let me be equally clear about what we are not doing. The United States and NATO are not a threat to Russia. Ukraine is not threatening Russia. Neither the U.S. nor NATO have missiles in Ukraine. We do not have plans to put them there as well. We're not targeting the people of Russia. We do not seek to destabilize Russia. To the citizens of Russia, you are not our enemy. And I do not believe you want a bloody, destructive war against Ukraine, a country and a people with whom you share such deep ties of family, history, and culture. 77 years ago, our people fought and sacrificed side by side to end the worst war in history. World War II was a war of necessity. But if Russia attacks Ukraine, it would be a war of choice, or a war without cause or reason. Was a war of necessity.
All right, here we go.
But if
Do it this way
attacks
better.
Ukraine, it would be a war of choice, or a war without cause or reason. I say these things not to provoke, but to speak the truth, because the truth matters. Accountability matters. If Russia does invade in the days and weeks ahead, the human cost for Ukraine will be immense. And the strategic cost for Russia will also be immense. If Russia attacks Ukraine, it will be met with overwhelming international condemnation. The world will not forget that Russia chose needless death and destruction. Invading Ukraine will prove to be a self-inflicted wound. The United States and our allies and partners will respond decisively. The West is united and galvanized. Today, our NATO allies and the alliance is as unified and determined as it has ever been. And the source of our unbreakable strength continues to be the power, resilience, and universal appeal of our shared democratic values. Because this is about more than just Russia and Ukraine. It's about standing for what we believe in, for the future we want for our world, for liberty, the right of countless countries to choose their own destiny, and the right of people to determine their own futures, for the principle that a country can't change its neighbors' borders by force. That's our vision. And toward that end, I'm confident that vision, that freedom, will prevail. If Russia proceeds, we will rally the world to oppose its aggression. The United States and our allies and partners around the world are ready to impose powerful sanctions on export controls, including actions that we did not pursue when Russia invaded Crimea in eastern Ukraine in 2014. We will put intense pressure on their largest and most significant financial institutions and key industries. These measures are ready to go as soon as if Russia moves. We'll impose long-term consequences, will undermine Russia's ability to compete economically and strategically. And when it comes to Nord Stream 2, the pipeline that would bring natural gas from Russia to Germany, if Russia further invades Ukraine, it will not happen. While I will not send American servicemen to fight in Ukraine, we have supplied the Ukrainian military with equipment to help them defend themselves. We provided training and advice and intelligence for the same purpose. And make no mistake, The United States will defend every inch of NATO territory with the full force of American power. An attack against one NATO country is an attack against all of us. The United States' commitment to Article 5 is sacrosanct. Already, in response to Russia's buildup of troops, I've sent additional U.S. forces to bolster NATO's eastern flank. Several of our allies have also announced they'll add forces and capabilities to ensure deterrence and defense along NATO's eastern flank. We will also continue to conduct military exercises with our allies and partners to enhance defensive readiness. And if Russia invades, we will take further steps to reinforce our presence in NATO, reassure us for our allies, and deter further aggression. To be clear, if Russia decides to invade, that would also have consequences here at home. But the American people understand that defending democracy and liberty is never without cost. This is a cause that unites Republicans and Democrats. And I want to thank the leaders and members of Congress of both parties who've forcefully spoken out in defense of our most basic, most bipartisan, most American principles. I will not pretend this will be painless. There could be impact on our energy prices. So we are taking active steps to alleviate the pressure on our own energy markets and offset raising prices. We're coordinating with major energy consumers and producers. We're prepared to deploy all the tools and authority at our disposal to provide relief at the gas pump. And I'll work with Congress on additional measures to help protect consumers and address the impact of prices at the pump. We are not seeking direct confrontation with Russia, though I've been clear that if Russia targets Americans in Ukraine, we will respond forcefully. And if Russia attacks the United States or our allies through asymmetric means, like disruptive cyber attacks against our companies or critical infrastructure, we are prepared to respond. But we're moving in lockstep with our NATO allies and partners to deepen our collective defense against threats in cyberspace. Two paths are still open. For the sake of historic responsibility, Russia and the United States share for global stability, for the sake of our common future, to choose diplomacy. But let there be no doubt. If Russia commits this breach by invading Ukraine, responsible nations around the world will not hesitate to respond. We do not stand for freedom. Where it is at risk today, will surely pay a steeper price tomorrow. Thank you. I'll keep you informed.
Whether or not they are de-escalating. Ukraine as a precursor to a Russian invasion.
Are they behind the cyber attack, Mr. President?
President Biden speaking just now and not answering the.
All righty. Okay, so here's what I took from all that. At the very beginning, it sounded we missed the very, very beginning, but it sounded like the temperature had been turned down a few degrees when he talked about how his most recent conversations with Putin, they have both agreed to continue diplomatic measures to end this situation. So that sounded good, and I was getting sort of, and then he said that Putin had agreed. We talked about this earlier. Putin agreed to remove some of the forces from the borders along Ukraine and Belarus and return them to their bases. That all sounded good, but then in the next sentence, Biden said, "But we haven't seen that. That at this point, that's all talk." And then the entire rest of the speech was about turning the temperature back up. How do I comment on what I just saw without some people thinking, you know what, whatever, you know what, you don't need me. I know what, I'll tell you what I just saw. I liked what I just saw. I just saw somebody who was a fucking badass. I just saw somebody who was like, yeah, Putin, he's talking a good game, but let me tell you something. If he's just pulling our strings, we are ready to go. We are going to defend American and Western values. We are going to defend our NATO allies. And I'm telling you, if this motherfucker, if he comes at us, we are coming back at him so freaking hard. That's what I saw. That's what I saw. I saw an extraordinarily strong leader who said, look, guys, we have an opportunity here, and there were some good things that happened. We've made some agreements, and shit's looking like we're going to talk this out a little bit more. We're going to continue these diplomatic measures, and we're going to try and come to a reasonable and a peaceful decision. But then he also said, hey, but if that fails, I'm not going to get up here and be a pussy to Putin and make him think that he outflanked me and fooled me into thinking that while we're talking, he's going to now just move his troops into more advantageous positions and he's going to continue his buildup. No, he said that he's going to pull back some troops. And I said, that's wonderful. That's what you need to do. But let me tell you, folks, he ain't done it yet. So I don't know. I thought that was great. I thought that was terrific. I don't know where we stand. It seems to me like we're, I guess the most important thing for us to be looking for in the next 12 to 24 hours is any sort of confirmation concerning Russian troops retreating, pulling back from the border. If we start, and there's plenty of ways to confirm that. We have satellites, we have, intelligence on the ground. There are ways to get that confirmed. But as the President of the United States just said, they said they're going to do it. They ain't done it yet. So, and quite frankly, if you understand how the Russians work, you cannot believe a goddamn thing that these people tell you. They are constantly looking for an advantage, and misinformation is their best friend. So if they want to play the misinformation game, yes, we'll keep talking, comrade. We'll be friends. And you want me to pull back some troops? Fine, you got it, Joe. I'll pull back some troops. It's not a problem. We'll get that. Doesn't mean they're going to do it. That just means that in the moment, they were saying what the president wanted to hear. So, Jeff, that is exactly what I just saw. And isn't it awful that we're talking about something that isn't political at all? We are talking about the American way of life. We are talking about Western democracy. We are talking about people who... And I'm actually sitting here and I'm worried about saying too many things that might be flattering to Sleepy Joe, because then people will go, libtard! No, you know what? I can't be afraid of that. You got a problem. You got a problem if that's what you heard there. If you didn't just see a bipartisan leader of the United States of America, the greatest country that God ever created, and sure, we've got our flaws. But where would you rather live? There ain't no place I'd rather live. That was the leader of the United States of America telling a bully in front of the entire world, all right, you talk a good game. You said some things that I wanted to hear. Now fucking do it. That's what I just heard. And I don't know. I'm proud to be an American. That wasn't the other guy who, well, I believed when Putin told me that he had nothing to do with the other. I believed him, and why would I? Because your own Central Intelligence Agency and your Department of Justice and they're all telling you the opposite. Well, I believe him. No, that was a guy who knows exactly what Putin, the KGB agent, is. That is a guy who was like, fuck this guy. So I liked it. And I am not even a Biden fan. Jeez Louise. Full disclosure. I wrote in. I wrote in. I didn't vote for Biden. I didn't vote for Trump. I wrote in. Who'd you write in? Well, that I'm not telling you. Because it's nobody's business. Because I believe in a secret ballot. But I'm not in the tank for Biden. I didn't want fucking Biden. Biden was like my fourth choice of I didn't want Biden, but and he won my state, and he was gonna win my state because I was voting in a blue state, and it ain't my vote, I wasn't in Wisconsin or Florida or Arizona, or I guess Arizona, Wisconsin. What was the other one? What was the big one? That trip to Georgia. So I'm not in the tank for old Sleepy Joe. That was good, man. That was good. Did he stumble on any words so that people can accuse him of being senile and having dementia? You fucking people are sick. You people who do that shit, you people are fucking sick. Stop it. This is the guy that has... Stop it. That was good. That was good. That made me proud to be an American right there. And you should be as well. Because that was an American president telling the entire world, I ain't fucking scared of Russia. No, but you should be, because now you want World War III? No, that is not what he said, and that is not what I said. I don't want World War III. What I want is a guy that isn't going to stand right next to a well-known lying piece of shit in Vladimir Putin and go, I believe him, not my intelligence sources. I believe him. Because he's going to give me a hotel in Moscow when this is all over with. I'm done. I'm done. I appreciated that. As an American citizen who has felt like the Russian president had us bent over and was just fucking us raw. I like that. I liked what I just saw because Putin is a really bad guy. He's a really bad guy. But you go ahead. You defend him. You defend him because some guy on OAN or Newsmax started talking about how Putin's an actual... Go ahead. You defend him. All right, we're going to be back tonight. I hate that I got political. How is that political? What I got was patriotic. Don't do that. Oh, my inner monologue is actually on my side for once. Don't do that. Don't conflate being a patriot and loving your country and demanding that we stand up for what's right in the American way with bullshit left, right, blue, red politics. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. You're either an American when you want to be a tough, strong leader, a force for good in this world, or you're going to see that speech that guy who I told you I didn't even vote for, you're going to see that speech from that guy and you're going to go, he was stumbling, he's completely senile and he shouldn't be talking like that to Vladimir Putin. Be a patriot. Be a real American. Be somebody who loves this country. Be somebody who's proud when this country stands up and doesn't act like a pussy, like we've been acting towards Vladimir Putin for the last... Don't do it. Don't do it. All right. I don't even like Biden. He seems like a nice guy. He wouldn't be my choice. It's getting to be that time of the month. If you can donate to the show, if you can help us continue doing this each and every day, it'd be greatly appreciated. The show exists at the generosity of you, the fine listener, the people who help support us from month to month. As I've been saying the last couple of weeks, I think we are moving to a place where we are not going to need to do this anymore, but I don't know that that's going to happen by the end of this month because it's one of them short months. So you lose 3 days this month. So tip, help us out, do whatever you can. It's greatly appreciated. All right, that's it. It's almost 3 o'clock. I love you guys. I'll be back tonight at 9 o'clock for the Pillow Talk edition with me and Parker. Yeah, my head is killing me. It's not killing. I didn't Bob Saget myself. It wasn't like a concussive hit. It was, I scraped the skin, just, it was like a slicing right here. There was no, it's skin. It didn't even hit the bone. It just ripped the skin. So I'm fine. But it's sore. It hurts. Poor baby got a little cut on his head and it hurts. It's throbbing. It's a little wet still. All right, I'm gonna put on a bandage. We'll check it. We'll see how it looks at 9 o'clock tonight on the Pillow Talk Show. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Jennifer, I read her whole thing about opioids and all that kind of stuff, man. I'm sorry that you have a need for. It sounds like you've had a rough go of it. I have very little experience with that stuff, so I don't really have a comment, but feel better, man. Feel better. Chronic pain is Jesus. I'm going to be interested to see how, the media echo chamber decides to break down Biden's speech. I mean, we know what Fox is going to say. God. Okay, we'll see you at 9 o'clock tonight. Bye, everybody. Love you. Down the road I'll travel, far from the comfort